Have you ever wondered about films that never made it to the big screen, or even television and streaming services? Well then, the Screenplay Archaeology podcast may be for you. On our show, we take a look at scripts or teleplays that were never produced, or sometimes even early drafts that were significantly changed before or during shooting, as well as the stories behind why they never came to be. Good script or bad, we consider them all to be fair game. So if any of this interests you, then come check out Screenplay Archaeology.
As the tagline for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 aptly puts it, it all ends here. Ending a franchise as iconic as Harry Potter is no small task. It's about as daunting as leading a battle at Hogwarts right after high school. Yet the 8th Harry Potter movie takes on the challenge and packs quite a punch. The movie broke numerous opening day and weekend records. With over $1.3 billion worldwide, it is the highest grossing film in the series. And it was the third highest grossing film ever released. Currently, it ranks 14th. However, it remains the highest grossing film ever released from Warner Brothers Studios. The Deathly Hallows Part 2 was released in July of 2011 to fan appreciation, commercial success, and wide critical acclaim. But more importantly, what did we think of this movie? Joining us for this episode is friend of the pod, writer, director, and immersion scientist, Paul Jones. So come aboard the Hogwarts Express for one final magical ride with Colin Harris and I as we point our wands menacingly at each other while watching the 8th and final Harry Potter film. We watched the 2011 magical family classic, David Yates's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is a show about franchises. Wizarding movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Wizard, Harry. You're a wizard.
Why in the world was this movie made?
I feel like of the things a ghost can be, a smell is actually one of the worst ones. You know what I mean? Because like a ghost could be like a vapor or like a voice or whatever, but a ghost smell, that can just ruin everything. And like no matter what, everyone else is gonna think you did it, even if it's the ghost.
Is this a well documented like way for ghosts to haunt as a smell?
I feel like it could be. I just, it's almost too much for the ghost, like
it's like there's grandma again. Like you just like recognize the stink. It's like mothballs or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But then I feel like if ghosts have manners, they must know that like being a smell is like one of the
what the hell are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Welcome to the show,
attention.
Harris.
You're talking about ghost
Harris is giving
smell?
me shit about being prepared, and he's over there like texting.
You guys clearly started without me and are talking about ghost farts.
I was ready.
Colin gets the sticker of approval.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah. And he came with a bit about ghost farts that he's prepped. By the way, this is Colin's prepared material, so it doesn't get any better than that. Literally, this is his ceiling, guys. Ghost farts.
Colin is the comedic genius of the show, and we're just riding his coattails. Welcome to the show. Welcome to License to Watch. The movie we are discussing today is a little-known independent film called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Forgotten gem.
Yes, this is the final piece of the puzzle. This is the Jaws the Revenge of this franchise. Joining us for this final adventure through the skies on our broomsticks is none other than friend of the pod, first-time guest on the show, writer, director, and immersion scientist.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Right, nice.
Mr. Paul Jones.
Hi, everybody. Very happy to be here. I want to thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Huge question about whether or not Matt would remember what immersion scientist was.
Yeah, that's an official title that I've earned through years and years of study at Immersion University.
I feel
Is that like do you actually have to keep your head under the entire time?
Well, it's more of sort of like a creative goal than you're not literally immersed.
Did they
At least
have
not the whole
distance
time.
learning?
Yeah.
Did they have distance learning at immersion school? Because like distance is like an opposite of immersion, because you can't be inside something if you're not close to it.
I feel like you might not be understanding what immersion is. Maybe we should ask an immersion expert.
I mean,
on it.
but you got to understand, like, you could immerse yourself in distance learning.
Yeah.
Oh, you can immerse yourself in anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Once you start getting into immersion, things get really confusing.
Now, emulsion, that's something else.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
True.
that's a different
Conversion.
thing.
Conversion, also
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Conversion scientists usually run conversion therapy camps.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and those guys
Not-
are hacks. They're not real
Yeah.
scientists.
Yeah, all they do
totally
is make
different.
conversion vans, right?
Yeah.
Wait, that's not what a conversion van is? Oh.
I have a lot to say about this movie that we're watching right now, and it's already been on for 2 minutes, and there's been like a bunch of crazy crap that's happened.
Mostly recaps.
Mostly recaps, yeah, from the first part of this adventure. Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the last episode, like, where did this mirror bit come from, right?
I was going to say,
There's
we've already hit my least favorite part of this entire fucking movie, which is this mirror, which is now, like, in the last movie, it was just something that he kept on looking at. Now it's like, where the fuck did this mirror come from, and why does he keep on looking at it? And in this movie, it is literally like one of the most important elements of the plot. And I still don't understand.
when he was told that this is a thing that can happen.
Where did he pick it up?
Where did he get it?
I forgot. There was a line
forgot.
in part 1 of Deathly Hallows where he said, like, oh, it's from the such and such mirror. I mean, he picked it up during, I think, Half-Blood Prince. I don't remember the exact circumstances.
And they did not make a big deal out of it. And he's been carrying this jagged shard of glass around in his fucking pocket or whatever for 3 movies now. And it seems like they might have wanted to, like, hang a little lantern on that whenever it happened. Just be like, hey, piece of significance here.
Yeah.
So that literally we are watching these movies pretty close together and discovering that there is a lot that is going unexplained sometimes, that, like, we should not be missing this much.
It's true. I mean, I think that the problem is that these books are so complex and interwoven that it would be impossible to adequately explain everything in the movies. And so the movies kind of hit this middle ground where they act as visual aids for the books, but they can't actually communicate everything that's relevant to even the reduced version of the story they're telling.
Listen, I don't need to know who Tronk is or whatever, or like
Tronk.
whoever these people are. All these random characters with weird names that I'm sure are much more significant in the book.
Yeah, and when they die off screen in this movie, you're like, okay,
whatever.
But yeah, no, they miss the mark sometimes. I mean, the mirror thing, because I don't know
The
what
mirror
the fuck
thing
it is
does
either.
seem like
And
it's a little
yeah.
more important. But, and it's like a recurring thing, and every time he pulls it out, I'm like, what the fuck is this mirror? I just want to look it up.
Yeah,
Like,
their only
Wikipedia.
callback to it is one garbled line that Harry says.
Yeah.
All they needed was a shot in one of the movies of him picking up a piece of glass and looking at it and seeing someone. He's like,
And saying,
I'm gonna
wow,
hold
this
on
is
to
really
this.
important.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this with me forever.
To be fair, it may have been there. Things go by
Stare
very
at it.
fast in
Yeah.
these movies.
maybe. It's possible we all missed that. If it was in Half-Blood Prince, too, that was the movie I think we all disliked the most. It was...
But that's so long ago. That movie was so long, and
But
then they didn't refer back to the scene that happened in that movie for another whole movie. Now we're in this movie.
I watched that movie twice, though, and I still don't remember the mirror part of that. So I'm not saying it wasn't there. I'm just saying,
Listeners, if Harris is acting a fool right now, just let us know somehow. Point it out to us.
yeah.
Can I say that Warwick Davis is so awesome in this scene? Like, is it just me? Does Griphook have so much gravitas and menace? Like,
You might say I was gripped.
yeah, I was and hooked actually. I mean, I feel like HP is here like negotiating with Don Corleone or something. Like, it's so intense.
Yeah, I thought this scene was really good. And his makeup and everything like looks great. His nails.
And I think it's a cool choice that he has all this crazy makeup, but he doesn't have like a weird goblin voice. He's just talking in a normal voice,
Yeah.
which is pretty great.
I didn't realize it was Warwick Davis until you said that. 'Cause
He's-
I know what Warwick Davis looks like, but I did not know that was him under.
He's also another character. In
He
this
plays
movie.
two characters in this movie. He plays Professor Flitwick too. And I looked this up today. In the first movie, when Griphook shows them to the vault, Vern Troyer is playing him.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And Warwick Davis is doing the voice.
Interesting. I didn't know. I thought it was Warwick Davis the whole time. Had Vern Troyer like died by the time this movie came out?
I don't know.
They all look the same to you, Matt.
Oh,
By the way, Warwick Davis also runs the company that provides all the little people that played all the goblins in the bank for all these movies. He has basically like a casting agency for that.
Cool.
So so it's pretty. So he's very active in that whole obviously making acting a more of a possibility for those folks.
Did you guys ever watch the Warwick Davis show that was short-lived? It was like a BBC production, but it was also on HBO.
The one that he did with Ricky Gervais.
yeah, wasn't he in the Ricky
Oh my God, I love
Gervais
that.
show?
Yeah.
Isn't
I
that
can't
called
think of the
Extras?
name
Yeah,
of it.
extras. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's the one with
That's the one with the
Patrick
great,
Stewart's I saw everything.
So
or whatever.
it's too late. I've seen everything.
That's Extra is what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did another show. It was
Oh.
called like Life's Too Short. I think. That's the
Oh
name
no,
of
I
it.
didn't see.
Is
I've
that the
never
one
seen
where
that
they
one.
interview Liam Neeson or whatever?
That's the most
Yeah.
famous scene from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Liam Neeson's like, I want to do comedy.
full blown AIDS?
Yeah.
I'm a greengrocer with full blown AIDS.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! But yeah, if you guys haven't seen that show, Life's Too Short, it is fucking hilarious. There's like 6 episodes or something. Yeah, Harris, as I was watching this in the beginning, I was like, oh man, they're not going to introduce any new characters in this. Like, what are we going to do for top 4? But I was wrong. There's a lot of new faces and
there's-
famous faces.
There's
in this
a
too.
few of them.
I mean, we didn't do what's this guy's name?
John Hurt.
Hurt, yeah.
Yeah.
William Hurt, John Hurt,
William Hurt
William Hurt.
is
He's the one who just
body
died.
heat guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, William Hurt. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. John
Yeah.
Hurt.
I mean, I just can't wait till we get to Dumbledore 2.
Yeah. Well, that's
That
another one.
guy, yeah.
Kieran Hines. Yeah.
Yep.
Although he might be a tough top 4.
I
Also,
cannot help but think about Beer Fest when he shows up. I'm just like,
also, and he's got a lot of prosthetic makeup on
Yeah.
to make him look more like Michael Gambon.
Yeah.
Which at first I was like, I could swear this is Kieran Hines because of his voice and parts of his face, but then I'm like, no, the nose is a little too big and the eyes are too droopy, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, I was right. Also, another person that I recognized but could not place is the one who plays
The ghost.
Helena Ravenclaw. Is that it?
Yeah, who was that?
Kelly
Kelly
MacDonald.
MacDonald.
Yeah.
yeah,
Who
I've
we
seen
could
her.
we could tell you the things that she's from, but she's actually probably our best bet for top 4.
Oh, that's
Shit,
gonna be
I'll
hard
get
for
my
me now.
ass kicked.
There's a few different. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, everyone's been in these, but no, we got a couple.
And that's pretty much it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Rowena Ravenclaw is the before the ghost, right? The
Yes,
ghost is
she's
her
the
daughter.
Ghosts, yeah.
She's the one in the painting.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
so-
and it's her diadem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rowena's
Rowena-
diadem.
Rowena Ravenclaw started the house.
Yeah,
and the
she's the
ghost
first one.
is like her daughter, or was it her
Yes.
niece or something?
And
like
is
that?
it
was daughter.
is it intentional that like all of the things that are Horcruxes, there's like Rowena Ravenclaw's thing and the Hufflepuff thing and the
have
like
to be from
like
each
they're
side.
all
Sword of Gryffindor.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, the Sword of Gryffindor isn't a Horcrux; it's what they used to kill the Horcruxes. But the
Yeah.
other 3 things are possessions of the people who founded the
school.
houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the founders of Hogwarts. So I don't know if there's more made of that in the book, but it's funny that he picked all these like possessions that were owned by the founders of Hogwarts.
Yeah, I'm guessing, I'm assuming that has to do with Voldemort being pissed off at Hogwarts.
Mm.
And I think he may have made the Horcrux around the time he was there, just after he left.
Yeah.
But he's got a flair for the theatrical, so of course he would track down these historical artifacts and turn them into Horcruxes.
I was trying to keep count of, as I was watching the movies, I was trying to keep count of the Horcruxes as they like found them and destroyed them. Because I remembered at some point they said there was 7.
Yeah, there's 7, right?
And
Let's count them.
and it sounded
The snake,
and it seemed
Harry's
ridiculous.
forehead, the snake, Harry's forehead, the diadem or the little tiara,
Yeah.
The little gold cup that they find in
the
the.
little
Yep.
gold cup,
The
the
ring.
locket.
Oh yeah, the locket.
What's
the
the ring?
The
ring.
diary from the second
ring.
ring, the
diary.
locket, and the diary.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
But
Wow. Okay.
but nobody knew that there was a 7th Horcrux until the end of this movie,
Right,
'Cause
exactly.
They didn't know that Harry was
Because
a
they couldn't
Horcrux.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Dumbledore knew it the whole time.
Yeah, Dumbledore knew everything the whole time.
Yeah.
but 7 is generally like the magic number with this series, right? I mean,
Yeah.
aside from amount of movies.
It is a magic number.
It is. It's an extremely important number in mysticism if you're into that kind of thing.
Um,
Also, slot machines. Craps.
Craps, yeah.
I want to say that I loved Helena Bonham Carter's performance as Hermione.
Yeah.
In this section. Like, she was great as Hermione. And also, how much of a badass does Ron look like? The Death Eaters have the coolest fucking clothes, and Ron looks awesome in this outfit.
I think,
but the facial hair does it too, because later on when he loses the facial hair but keeps the outfit, he just looks like a dweeb.
No, that's true. He's also he's all wet. And
I
fucked
think
up after the
what's her
adventure.
name acted out these scenes. I think I read somewhere that she acted out all of the.
That's true.
Yeah,
Helena Bonham Carter went to Emma Watson and said, "I want you to just act out the scene so I can just do it the way you."
Yeah, like I think they filmed test footage of Emma Watson acting these scenes out so she could just imitate how she would do it.
It shows, and I feel like I see Helena Bonham Carter like mirroring some of her mannerisms and stuff. I love it. I love to see actors play other actors effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that's one of the reasons Face Off is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Of course. One of many.
Obviously.
That I thought it was also interesting. This is a little bit of hot tea that I don't think I was ever aware of, which is kind of surprising to me. But apparently Emma Thompson is in this movie as well, reprising her role as the flaky tea maker
in like 2 shots.
Yeah. Yep. But apparently they had to schedule it so that but it's all the Battle of Hogwarts.
So they need all the
which
teachers,
Helena Bonham Carter was also shooting in, and they had to schedule it so Emma Thompson didn't shoot on the same days as Helena Bonham Carter because there's still some awkwardness there. Even though Emma Thompson has publicly said she's got no hard feelings.
Oh, right.
Helena Bonham Carter started an affair with Kenneth Branagh when he was still married to Emma Thompson and ended their decade-long marriage. So apparently, like in the press, all is forgiven, but she asked to not be on set at the same time as her.
Imagine if there had been a scene with Gilderoy Lockhart, Sybil Trelawney, and Bellatrix Lestrange all in the same room. Like, that would have been a fucked up
Very
thing on
awkward.
set.
The drama.
And kudos to you for knowing all of those names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I did. I went deep into these movies and the books back in the day. So I don't remember a lot of details, but all the big stuff I still remember.
Yeah, tell us about your history with these books and movies.
Good segue.
Yeah, okay. Well, so I first saw, like when Harry Potter first came out, like I was interested in the premise, but like I went and saw the first 3 movies in theaters and was not reading the books and didn't think I needed to, but somebody convinced me, so I started reading them. I got super into them at that point. And then like I was doing like youth theater for a really long time. So around the time that Deathly Hallows was coming out, that was like my full-time thing. Like I was running this youth theater program and like, which meant that I was like directly connected to the youth culture, and I was working with the age group that had grown up with the characters. So I got to like vicariously be part of the Harry Potter generation, and then we, because I was doing youth theater, we were incorporating Harry Potter stuff. Like we did one whole camp that was Harry Potter themed. I mean, it was huge, So I mean, I just love it. I think it's amazing. Like I put this on a level with like Star Wars, which I grew up with. Yeah, I got into wizard rock. It's a whole genre of music that these movies spawned. There's a great band called Harry and the Potters. Yeah,
not the cleverest name, but it's okay. Some of the best bands have simple names.
Sure enough, but they're very good.
Great. And then so in preparing for this episode, you said before we started that you had listened to a couple of our previous episodes, the ones that are out.
Yeah, most of them. I didn't quite get all the way. I didn't get through Order of the Phoenix, and as of the time of this recording, Half-Blood Prince I think has not been released yet, nor has Deathly Hallows Part 1. But you sent me Deathly Hallows Part 1, so I was able to listen to that and I rewatched Part 1 and this because they're basically one long movie,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although very different stylistically and a lot of other stuff. Like this one is a lot more, I don't want to say contained because they go a lot of places, they do a lot of things, but it does go back, and most of the movie does take place at Hogwarts again after a movie where literally we were never at Hogwarts, in the last one.
And they make a meal out of it, like coming back to it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying this is in any way less, but it's very funny how the last one was all like nature, exterior shots, travel movie, all these other, it was very different in the series for that reason. And then this one has its own like sort of unique energy and everything like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we're at my least favorite part, and it's the like runaway mine train thing. I think it's like just too much CGI and like way too much of like, it just seems like they're trying to market a ride that doesn't exist yet that they're going to build, that's a roller coaster.
Which they did, basically.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my big question is why does this minecart have like a gyroscope thing where the track needlessly spirals and then the whole thing rotates? I can't figure out why they built it that way.
The last time in this series we went to this place, also it did not have this thing at all.
No,
Or
but
we just didn't see it. I
But
think
this
that
is
might have been-
much deeper in the Gringotts vaults.
True.
I mean, it's just one of those. It just feels over designed. Like having a deep subterranean vault system that's accessible by minecart is cool, but it just doesn't make visual sense the way they designed it, in my opinion.
I think this is one of those things where they are probably catering to the younger audience a little bit, although these movies have definitely become more grown up. I think they still make sort of some choices that I think are for, the Ewoks. It's just a little bit for the licensing and
Yeah, I almost feel like now that you say that this movie does sort of nod to the series origin a little bit. They kind of bring some kid elements back a little bit.
This is much more of a Harry Potter movie than Deathly Hallows Part 1 is, because Hogwarts is the main thing. Like, Hogwarts is an actual setting in this, whereas it was not for a whole movie.
Yeah.
This was one of the parts of the book that I was most stoked about was this whole dragon sequence, mostly just because I like dragons, so...
Is it an albino, or did it just get really pale from being in this vault the whole
I
time?
think it
dragons
maybe is just really
tan?
pale from being down there, it's been down there for centuries. The poor thing, it's got the chains and its neck is all fucked up, so...
I like the dragon. I don't like the mine train thing.
Yeah, totally. And I like the multiplying. I like
love
a lot,
this sequence.
I really like this sequence. Yeah, the multiplying treasures.
It's such a clever idea, and I think it's really well executed. I don't know how many, how much of this is practical props, because clearly he's sort of flopping around in like a ball pit made out of goblets at one point, and it looks really good. The combination of practical effects and CGI in this scene for the multiplying artifacts is really impressive.
Yeah.
I was actually a little worried going into this movie, knowing that it's the shortest movie and that the part one of this was like took its time and was really kind of drawn out and slow. I was a little worried that we spend like so much time here. I was thinking to myself like, oh man, did they kind of rush the final battle? But it doesn't. I feel like it kind of not much really happens, and we'll get to that when we get to the final battle. But there's like, a couple of sequences where like important stuff happens, and then that's it. It's over. It kind of wraps up really quickly and conveniently.
Well, see, that's my beef with this movie. I actually think that they rushed a lot of their big moments during the final battle. And, I can talk about that more when we get there. But,
Well, I don't know. Since you said Star Wars earlier, like, I kind of don't care that much about the final battle. I don't think the final battle has nearly the visual spectacle of something like a Star Wars final battle. I do know like the magic looks cool when they're all doing the stuff with their wands and everything, but it's just not, I don't know.
There's only so much you can do with two people pointing wands at each other.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but like, in the book, they enchanted the furniture and it was fighting, and they're even in the movie, they have one shot where it's like, oh, there's a troll, and then there's like spiders. I mean, there's a bunch of different types of monsters and shit there. I think there was
they
a
didn't
much
really
cooler
explain them.
sequence. And not just that, but the retaking of Hogwarts. Like that was a whole sequence where they were, hiding out and running. I don't remember it that well, but they were running, this underground resistance movement against Snape and figuring out how to regain control of the school. In the movie, it takes them like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
But I don't know how much. I mean, coming from somebody who's never read any of the books and it really has felt like some of these movies were overlong. I don't know that I needed to see a lot more of the Battle of Hogwarts. I got it. I feel like if they had dwelt on a lot of the intricacies and ups and downs of the battle itself, they probably would have lost me. And I wonder if they actually might have written and maybe even shot a more detailed, longer version of it, and then trimmed it down to this. Because I had the same reaction as Matt did, is thinking like I was surprised it was as short as it was, because I felt like I got everything I needed, and and it definitely didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome.
I just have to shout out this moment where this poor hypnotized little bastard gets torched by the dragon. It's so fucking harsh.
Especially because it's like the punchline of a joke too, because they're like, well, at least we still got this guy, and then he immediately gets incinerated.
And he wasn't a bad guy at all. He was just like the bank manager,
just doing his job. The manager at the bank. Yeah, and these people on their bank heist, he ends up a collateral damage of these bank heisting wizards.
I would say it doesn't help the overall vibe I get that like the wizarding world thinks these people are an inferior.
Isn't that kind of the undercurrent of this entire series? Is that like house elves and bank goblins are like not on the same plane with wizards? Although
fucking wizarding world's a terrible place.
Although Grip
that's
Hook,
been like the theme of the whole.
That's what I feel like
our coverage.
Yeah,
Grip Hook doesn't really do his species much credit with the way he sort of double crosses like how slimy he is. These people did save his life from the Death Eaters,
for sure.
And he definitely stabs them in the back very intentionally.
But I'm sure some of these bank tellers are really like upstanding types.
Yeah, just hanging out, doing their jobs, just pushing pencils.
I mean, this series could have used like a goblin ally character to show us that, like,
I agree.
I love the looks of some of these goblins.
Yeah,
they just sort of stare vacantly as a dragon crashes into their workplace.
How many of those bastards probably got killed just now? I mean, that's brutal.
Probably a lot.
Well, I have a lot of questions about how many of those goblins knew they were like, keeping this thing captive in their dungeon or whatever.
Yeah, which would make them a little complicit and make them feel a lot less bad about it.
Exactly.
I mean, traditionally goblins are bad guys. Like we don't watch Lord of the Rings and go like, oh, what about the ethics of all these goblins that are working for Sauron?
You don't?
Like, no, dude, they're just bloodthirsty little monsters.
I think that would be my pitch for a Lord of the Rings spinoff, is like the guys who are like enlistees in the goblin army that are just doing it because they grew up in a trailer and they're trying to make a better life for themselves. Trying to get the goblin GI Bill, and basically like they're not true believers.
Yeah.
If living in America has taught us anything, it's that if another person is uglier than you and they look different, then they mean less than
exactly.
you do.
That's the ethos of our country. It's bled into. Actually, no. This is actually the UK is where this whole series started, and that's even more that rationale of if they look different and have different customs and cultures, we can subjugate them anytime we want. That's not a problem.
Big noses, black eyes. Hey, red hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw
red
that in
hair.
there.
Yeah, the fucking Weasleys.
And of course, it has to be mentioned that many people have seen a lot of similarities between the design of the goblins and really anti-Semitic stereotypes that have been perpetuated for centuries.
Which you'd think like that was. I think that was a criticism of how she just. There's a ring. I think that's a criticism of how she describes them in the book. And you'd think when they were like doing the costume design for the movie, they might try to like zag away from that a little bit. They did not. They leaned very much into it.
They do, but also, I mean, that kind of considerations that just wasn't being made as much in 2001. So it was definitely a misstep on the part. But actually, I was reading about this a lot, and there's a lot of commentary about it. And the other thing though is that like the history of anti-Semitic tropes like that goes all the way back to the Middle Ages when they were trying to depict anything that was non-Christian as monstrous.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing that with pagan folklore and like fairy creatures too, which is what goblins are. So in fact,
is connected.
Like a lot of the traditional design elements of goblins and anti-Jewish stereotypes actually come from the same weird source in like the 10th century or something. But it would have been nicer if it didn't remind people.
Anyways,
of
in the Battle of Hogwarts, in the Battle of Hogwarts, they really don't explain where the troll and the spiders really come from and why they're in the battle.
Well, we did get there was an earlier part where.
Sorry, I just wanted to like shift gears. I didn't want us to go too far down.
No, you're right. Well, I thought it was
interesting and relevant material.
Sure. Interesting and relevant.
And plus, Colin's the king of just taking the middle of somebody saying anything and just being like, "Hey, I've decided I'm talking about something else now. Fuck you all."
Well, and to be fair, I did that same thing to Colin when the little guy started getting torched. You were talking about the final battle, so really you're just bringing it back.
But they did have a moment earlier where what's his name, Sauron, Voldemort, whatever his name is recruiting giants to fight for him. Like there was that part in the movie earlier. I don't remember which movie or what part. But he was definitely like courting the giants to like come and fight with him. So clearly he's been assembling his like multinational army of acolytes.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a lot of like 12-year-old girls like whooping in the theater when this shirtless scene took place?
No question.
I know I was.
And I think probably there was like the age range was much larger than that. Like,
Obviously.
these dudes were heartthrobs. No, I mean, look, dude, some of these kids were in my theater camp. Like they were, I mean, believe me, it was much more hardcore when it came to like Twilight, because I was also working with kids when those things were big.
Twilight's a little bit more overtly sexual.
Well, yeah, and also the dudes are hotter. I mean, Taylor Lautner and Robert Pattinson, those guys are fucking hot.
Objectively hotter, yes.
So we're kind of jumping around a little bit. I feel like this is my last time doing it. Let's just summarize this fucking plot so that I don't have to do this for an incredibly long time.
All righty, let's see. 2 minutes on the clock. And you ready?
Yep.
Go.
Okay. We start this movie by seeing the last 5 minutes of the previous movie. We learn that Voldemort has the Elder Wand, and he's fucking pissed. Harry's crying over the death of Dobby, and they're on the beach with his friends, and they're trying to figure out their next move. They decide that they need to go... Griphook, the goblin, is with them somehow. I forget how that came to be. But they decide they need him to help them break into Gringotts to steal something that's in the vault, in What's-Her-Name's vault. And so they go and they have this big, fun ride through the chambers and the whatever of the bank, and they figure out that it's this little cup because Harry can feel what the Horcruxes are, and they have a silly adventure where everything's multiplying in the room, and he gets the cup and they ride a dragon and they get out of there. So then the next thing is They discover Dumbledore's brother has been he's been speaking to Harry through the mirror, and he's kind of like taken over as the leader of the Order of the Phoenix, and then they decide to go to Hogwarts and get everything going there, and it's been taken over by Snape and a bunch of bad guys, and oh shit, I'm not doing too good. So they go there and they scare Snape away, and then they kind of take over the school and they prepare for the epic battle that's about to happen, and then all the bad guys show up. There's a lot of wand play. Everyone's shooting each other with lasers and stuff, and a bunch of people die, characters we don't care about. Harry dies. He realizes he has to die, but then he comes back. Dumbledore speaks to him in heaven, and he tells him, like, you need to go back. He goes back, and he fights with Voldemort, and he ends up killing him easily, and Voldemort dissipates into the air. And then they jump 19 years in the future, and we see weird old characters with their kids who look like them, and it starts all over again.
I don't think that was heaven. I think that was some kind of limbo.
Yeah. Because he says you can get on the train and go to heaven.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. It was the Matrix, right? Like outside of the simulation.
Yeah.
That's where the Matrix is.
Exactly. I think some important points that you missed, they do at some point in the various times during this movie destroy all the Horcruxes, which almost all of them, because they really haven't destroyed a lot at this point. They've only destroyed 2.
Yeah.
3.
3.
And then the ring, the book, the locket, and they destroy the other 2 in preparation for the final battle, and they kill the snake at the final battle, and also Snape dies. That was an important moment that
I kind of ran out of time.
Yeah. But
Snape dying is a big deal.
Snape dying is a big deal
because he goes into his memories after that.
Yep.
Let's jump right into that since we're talking about it. It's the whole Snape scene and what we learned. So Snape or Voldemort finds out that his Elder Wand won't work unless he kills the person who had it before him, right? And he deduces that must be Snape, and so he kills Snape, and then conveniently leaves as Snape is like dying, and it gives Harry enough time to come over.
He gets out of there fast too, because it's like
really
5
fast.
seconds later.
He's like, I'm not even going to watch you die.
He's in the middle of running a battle. He's got shit to do. He just Sectum Sempered Snape's neck apart, and he knows that Snape's going to die.
Also, there's clearly a connection and a relationship there between him and the snake, but we never see him spending time with the snake. So maybe we're meant to believe that off camera he's like, oh, hey Nagini, do you want to play like snake games, or like maybe he gives them pets?
Yeah, got some snake quality time.
Also, slight point of clarification: I heard this question raised, but I didn't hear it resolved in any of the episodes I listened to. That snake did used to be a person.
It did.
Yeah, she's in the Fantastic Beasts movies. They introduce the character as a human.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, who?
Yeah.
I've seen 2 of those movies.
I think like a an Asian woman, and I think that I barely know Fantastic Beasts. I saw them, but like I don't know. It was during the pandemic, and I was hammered. I was really depressed.
We learned that information in the Fantastic Beasts movies, or we knew this from the books?
We learned it from the Fantastic Beasts movies because they introduce a character named Nagini who's like teaming up, I think, with the bad guys or something. And so it's like one of the promises of that franchise is that we're going to show how she became a snake and teamed up with Voldemort. But now it won't happen because they're not going to make them.
Yeah.
Yeah, are they not going to continue? I know they wanted to do 5 initially.
I mean, they were supposed to be 5, and the receptions have just been getting worse and worse. They've been making less and less money, and I think that they officially terminated after the last one, but I could be wrong.
I saw the second one. The second one is really bad. I did not see the third one. I can't bring myself to. Is it on HBO? Maybe I'll watch it one sad day.
The third one's the one that just came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see it just because Jude Law is Dumbledore, and they go back to Hogwarts, so I'll watch it at some point. But I don't expect it to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Redmayne, like, dude, you can't mumble that much if you're in like a tentpole movie. I like this fucking guy. He's at the center of this franchise, and he just can't look people in the eye and stop mumbling. I get you're playing a shite character, but for Christ's sake, you're performing, man. You know, it drives me nuts. That's just one of many, many problems.
I always said they should have actually got Red Man if they really wanted.
Yeah, I think a Method Man and Red Man do the Harry Potter universe. That would have been a pretty good movie.
No one knows how high that movie would go.
By the way, I'm going to take my victory lap now for never doubting Snape for a second in this entire series.
Yeah.
I always knew he was a good guy. I didn't know how, and honestly, as somebody who's been watching this thing the entire time with no doubt that he's a good guy, and all the like bait and switch and reverses and everything the entire time I'm watching it, just assuming somehow they're going to make him a good guy. And I'll tell you what, I was very satisfied with the whole flashback that reveals everything and the complex relationship of how, like, you know, I always knew that he didn't really hate Harry, but like you find out that he actually kind of does hate Harry, but also really feels an emotional attachment to Harry. So like he both loves Harry and hates him, which really came through in the performance. I thought it was so good because he sees his father and his mother in him, and these are like the two polar, you know, opposites of how he feels about other people. And it's just, he played it so well. This is really, this character, like Alan Rickman has some legendary roles. This character like belongs in that pantheon of great Alan Rickman roles because the performance, he's got I would say the best performance in the entire series is Alan Rickman whenever he's on screen in these movies, especially because he's balancing so many things that we don't know and doing it so well that even retroactively I'm looking back going, yeah, he kind of nailed every scene.
He's amazing, and he elevates the character. I mean, Snape was great in the books too, but not that great. You know, I mean, on paper, he's a really cool character with a really complex backstory, but Alan Rickman even found even more layers to him. And apparently, I don't know if this has come up on a podcast before, but J.K. pulled him aside when they were shooting the first movie and told him everything.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned that. I think somebody mentioned it briefly, but
I did mention that earlier.
But yeah, but now, but
thanks,
now
Paul. Thanks for that bit of information that we definitely never heard.
Means. So I guess he knew more than anybody, because even the directors of previous movies didn't know what Snape's real motivation was.
She didn't tell anybody.
They were flying blind, and they just had to trust him that he was playing it right. You know,
totally. He was in some ways like one of the only people that she told a spoiler about the books that she hadn't written yet. You know,
he's great again as a kind of villainous character when they come into Hogwarts. Like obviously playing it with the idea that like when you look at him as he's you know saying that he wants somebody to tell him where Harry Potter is and all that. Like he's doing this thing. You can sort of see how he's playing it, trying to play it both ways, but maintain his cover. But he just looks so like imperious and disdainful and just all these great, like awful qualities for a villain. And then when you find out that he wasn't a villain, you're like, wow, he kind of just totally nailed that part. You can see why Voldemort trusted him, you know?
So we're on the scene here where Snape has called the entire student body of Hogwarts into the main hall with these two twins who we've barely been introduced to. I don't remember. And he's going to like try and root out the spy and like who is in communication with Potter or something, right?
I thought it was the Dare Assembly.
Yeah, they're gonna break.
So you kids like drugs,
tear phone books in half.
You
heard that one, right?
Yeah, I've been listening.
Thanks to drugs, I have the power to do this.
I did a little bit of homework, you know, but no, I mean, I'm just like, this was a huge moment in the book, and this was one of the ones I was really sad that got rushed. Like the Harry's reunion with Ginny, they just rushed past it because Ginny had nothing to do but come out and give some exposition, which I know that you guys aren't really into Harry and Ginny because there's no chemistry, which is kind of true, but it's still an important relationship. And so now here we have this great like tense moment where everybody's like cowering because he's, trying to root out a spy and they're all going to be punished. And then just when it feels like there's tension, Harry steps out and just blasts it away. And then they just very easily subdue Snape. Ricochets hit the two twins, taking them out like way too easily. And like 30 seconds later, they've won Hogwarts back. I mean, it's just too easy, And so the further we get to the battle, the more of this there is. And there's great moments too. The other reason that I'm angry is because I'm a huge McGonagall stan. I love McGonagall. I also love Miranda Harris. I have a crush on her despite the age difference. And this was McGonagall's big moment to reassert her authority at Hogwarts School. And they didn't even give her any fucking lines. So, I mean, I understand you can't put everything from the book in, but what we get in the second part of this movie is a lot of these moments where they try to put the scene from the book in, but do such a Cliff's Notes version of it that it almost might as well not have been there.
The moments that they give certain characters in this movie, it's like, why did they give moments to those characters? It's like they were so close, like, what's the kid's name? Neville, whose parents were tortured to death by Bellatrix Lestrange, right? Yeah. He doesn't get to kill her. I know that's probably not how it happens.
The Weasley mom who
Bellatrix cares about the Weasley mom?
The Weasley mom has not done a significant thing to make me think that she's like a badass in this entire... Like there was every single other character in this movie I could buy maybe going toe-to-toe with Bellatrix Lestrange.
What's not badass about knitting?
Yeah, this is exactly my point. Is like Bellatrix Lestrange is supposed to be this dangerous, powerful, murderous wizard, and anyone else could have had an emotional reason to kill her, but instead Bellatrix goes after Ginny, and the mom gets mom strength, and
the mom is not a character. Like when it happens, I'm not like, yeah, Weasley mom, finally.
I'm like, was that the Weasley mom? I can't even recognize her.
Yeah, it's like, who is that?
Yeah, it was a bigger moment in the book, but also mom power is the most powerful force in this universe.
Well, I guess that is true.
Because it was a mother's love that protected Harry and that gave him the ability to defeat
Voldemort. I like the
Voldemort.
Unexpected thing where Harry just steps out of the crowd, though. I thought that, like, for me, that played well, not with any other expectations of the scene. I thought we were going to get some prolonged, protracted thing where they're hiding from Snape and Snape is after him and whatever. And instead we just got, like, him just going straight to the confrontation and getting, like, coming out with it. It was surprising because it was unexpected and it worked for me.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I understand. For me, if I was going to strip away all of my complaints about what I wanted from the books, I would say that just as a movie scene, it's just too easy. They set up this. I love this. It's a really creepy shot. All these kids start screaming and they hear Voldemort.
Just to go off of what you said, Paul, about your complaint with the whole overtaking Snape easily, I feel like it works for me in this movie because, like, eventually learning what we know about Snape is that he's really on their side.
That's true.
So he kind of like feigns losing.
Yeah, and I thought
that's a good point. Maybe
I actually thought he deflected the spell into the two people behind him too, because he does like a thing and it splits on either side of him and hits the two people behind him. So I was like, that's another reason why I was like, as I watch this, I'm like, oh, he's totally on their side.
There you go.
This would not have happened like this.
That's what I thought. I felt like he was very like at the beginning of the battle. He had a very defeated look, like about him, to where he's like, I know I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna look like a little bitch right here.
Yeah, you guys are making great points, and that's why I love these discussions. It's making me like the movie more. You know,
I wanted to see, because McGonagall was like an all-American football player. I mean, a good Quidditch player. I wanted to see her on a broom.
Oh, that would have been good.
And plus, she's got the classic witch outfit, so that we need to see the classic witch on a broom. That would be good.
Oh yeah.
We do see. Did you guys catch the cameo of Wood? Did you guys see we got Wood back?
We got Wood back.
We got Wood in the. He's riding a broom in the final battle at some point.
Hell yeah.
This is kind of a crazy moment. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
This is a very authoritarian, borderline concentration campy move for McGonagall. She just rounds up all of Slytherin and throws them in the dungeon.
Oh yeah, I did.
Into the concentration camp. I mean,
honestly, of all the stuff that happens in this whole scene, all the things you were griping about and all the things that you were saying were good, I'm like, fine, whatever. But like the fact that she doesn't ask if any of the Slytherin are like still down with being good, and she just sends them all away is like
it's internment straight up. I mean, yeah, no, it's a little questionable.
It makes me think like, does that mean that Slytherin actually is inherently evil in some way? In which case, all
And
the
they
shit
know
that
it?
Harry,
They all
shit,
know it?
Yeah, exactly, and they're just allowed to be in the school. Oh, those are the evil kids. That's like a clique.
like why couldn't they write one of the kid characters being like, I want to defend Hogwarts. I love you, McGonagall.
Yeah, they kind of rectify that in the Cursed Child.
I volunteer as tribute.
Like, because in the Cursed Child, Harry Potter's kid is best friends with a Slytherin who's like a really cool dude.
Yeah, but that's at the end of this movie. He says he does that his kid shouldn't worry if he ends up in Slytherin, and I'm like, maybe you should worry because you could get thrown to jail for nothing if you're Slytherin.
If McGonagall's still working there.
Well, I mean, maybe
He tells his kid too. He's like, "Oh, and just whatever you think you want to be in, like the hat will put you in there."
Yeah, which is
It's
also
like,
not.
what?
There's a lot of bullshit there.
Well,
He's
no, that
telling
is-
this kid a lot of bullshit.
no, that because the hat was talking about putting Harry in Slytherin in year one, and Harry was like, "No, don't put me in fucking Slytherin," and the hat was like, "Oh, okay." That was how he got in Gryffindor.
Yeah, but that was only because the hat was confused because he spoke parcel tongue. Which, by the way, my other biggest plot hole in this entire movie is that Harry can somehow innately speak parcel tongue, and it's because that he has a little bit of Voldemort in him.
Right.
Yeah.
And Ron can apparently speak enough parcel tongue to open a door because he's heard Harry saying it in his sleep. That is such a bunch of bullshit. I refuse to believe it.
That's like 5 movies ago.
And he's
No,
like,
that's in this
he's
movie.
like,
That
oh,
happens in this movie. Yeah, when they go down to the chamber.
he's
yeah.
like,
My bad,
Harry
my
talks in his sleep. Haven't you ever noticed? And then they cut to Hermione, and she's like, no.
Yeah, like
Why would I,
haven't
dude?
slept with him? What are you talking
no,
about?
they were
I
sharing
haven't
it.
even slept with him, not even once, Ron. You're so crazy. Why are you keeping bringing this up? This is like so.
I totally
ridiculous.
buy it. I imagine Ron every night that Ron can't go to sleep. He's got like, he's got his elbow like where his head's like in his hand with his elbow on the pillow, and he's just staring at Harry.
Getting
Glaring.
Probably true.
Slytherin lessons.
Also,
Getting
dude,
Duolingo Slytherin.
If your roommate was like talking parcel tongue in his sleep, that'd be creepy as fuck. It would be hard to fall asleep with.
Oh
that,
yeah, no
you
shit.
know?
Yeah, definitely creepy.
Did they? Maybe there was a scene where like Harry was sleeping and Ron was just standing over the bed, and he kind of touches him with the back of his fingers, and he's like, "You're so beautiful when you sleep."
And Harry says, just yammering away. I also thought parcel tongue, I could be wrong about this. I also thought parcel tongue was not something that you learned. I thought it was something that you just
Inherently
know.
I still thought it's what they teach you on the first day when you get hired at UPS.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of
it was only a matter of time till that.
it's kind of impressive to realize that some of these things like were planted in the first book.
Yeah.
Like J.K. Rowling knew that writing the first book, she was going to write 7 books, and that like a lot of these things were going to be explained in the last book, but they seem like they make, everything like wraps up nicely. It's all
And yet she couldn't have planted a bit about
the mirror.
Albertus Dumbledore or no
Aberforth.
Actually, I prefer
Aberforth. Yeah.
I prefer it if you guys called me Dumbledore.
even if they just said in the first book or whatever, like, oh yeah, I have a brother. I haven't
His
talked to him in
estranged
years.
brother.
Yeah.
Somebody just needed to mention his. Well, I don't even know. Maybe it is in the books. Who the fuck knows? I just know it's not in the damn
the
movies.
movies, yeah.
Like, and at that point, it's clear that she did not come up with that idea until she was writing the Half-Blood Prince.
The one character it does work for is Dumbledore, though, because he's such a mysterious, secretive character through the whole series. He's like Yoda, I bought that I maybe wouldn't have known that about him, even though it was a very late edition.
And that's one of the differences between like how you can justify something with a character and but storytelling wise, it's hard not to see through that.
I mean,
that at some point you should have wanted to plant that.
It saves it too that it's not his existence isn't too much of a Deus Ex Machina,
Right.
like it doesn't solve everything,
Right.
It's just kind of helps him along the way a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever talk about the actress who plays Luna Lovegood? Not Lovelace, by the way, guys. You're thinking of Linda Lovelace, the 70s porn star?
Yeah.
No, Luna Lovegood. Did you ever talk about how she got cast? It's an interesting piece of trivia.
Oh, never heard that.
She was a fan of the books, and when she read book 5, where Luna was introduced, I think it was book 5, maybe 4, whatever. I think it was 5, where Luna was introduced, she recognized herself. She was like, oh, this is me. I should play this character, and she actually made it happen. By the time they made
I
the
feel
movie.
like we did talk about this. in
Well,
one episode.
the thing I read was that like of the people that auditioned, they were like they auditioned some people who were good at playing the role, but their ultimate their ultimate takeaway was that she was the character.
And you can kind of tell that she's not a technical actor.
Right.
You know, like you can see that it's not really what you like a crafted performance, but there is this quality she brings to it where it's like, yeah, nobody else really could have done
I
that.
like her a lot. She's like one of my favorite characters. I would say I like her. She's in my top 3 favorite characters, even, which means that I've bounced one of the mains.
We're watching the Helena Ravenclaw scene, and this is of course Kelly MacDonald, who I can't believe now that I had to look up that this was Kelly MacDonald because, you know, obviously she looks like Kelly MacDonald. I have had a crush on her since Trainspotting, and she is aging like a fine wine, better every year.
Kind of like Maggie Smith.
That's facts.
Just facts.
That's absolutely not your opinion. That's facts.
No. Yeah, that's just facts.
There's a lot of deaths of characters in this movie. Let's talk a little bit about some of the deaths and like the more important ones, the non-important ones.
Does what's his name? The werewolf man and
Lupin and his
Tonks?
wife.
Yeah, that's off screen.
Yep.
Yeah, they die off screen. Yeah.
That's I could see the books fans being really upset.
They die off screen in the book too, if I remember.
Oh,
right.
really?
The Weasley twin, which was very disappointing that only one of them died. They're very annoying.
So I've been listening to your Weasley, Fred and George hate, and honestly, I think that they don't pop in the movies the way they do in the book. I think that's the issue. Is that because I actually was never that into them either. I like them in the books, but they don't get as much screen time for starters. But also, there's like some fun element of the character that doesn't get a chance to come through in the movies.
It all seems like a little silly, and it just doesn't quite land. But yeah, who else do we lose? That's a big.
There's a girl. She's upside down in the frame, so I couldn't.
The girl who was Ron's girlfriend.
Yes.
Who was
that's what I thought.
Lavender Brown.
Lavender
Yeah,
Brown.
we see her dead on the ground at one point.
That was Lavender Brown. Brutal.
Yeah, I when I was like in a click hole of Harry Potter, behind the scenes memes or whatever, I was reading like somebody's whatever, like their ideal thing of what would happen to Lavender Brown, and then I watched this and I was like, Lavender Brown's dead. What the hell were they talking about? And then I just realized they were just obsessed with Harry Potter to the point where that they could resurrect the character in their own mind, I guess.
We also get Goyle dying.
An awesome death.
Which
I love that
which
shit.
apparently that was supposed to be Crabbe dying, but since Crabbe is in jail, and we finally know that now, Crabbe was in jail for what seems like relatively minor drug offenses, but he got like 6 years or something like that, I think. And so we've been teasing that forever. This is finally the movie that Matt is right, and Crabbe does not show
fucking
up.
told you guys.
And it's Goyle, and he gets replaced with another Slytherin henchman. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's a black kid who's been in a couple of movies now.
I saw a meme actually, like randomly, today or whatever. I watched the movie. It must have been today because I watched the movie this morning. And the meme was the three of them. It was like Malfoy and then who was it? Goyle and the black kid.
Yeah.
And it said something like, puberty has not been good for Crabbe or something.
Yeah, he got a lot taller though. Yeah, no, they had this. I guess it was supposed to be Crabbe that died, but they were like, okay, instead of killing off the new guy, let's just kill off Goyle there.
They would never hear the end of it if they killed off the new kid.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the only black character.
It's a good thing they race swapped Lavender Brown, or that would have been another one that was a random black character dead. They also.
There's Mr. Kingsley Shacklebolt. But this Harry Potter
this
franchise.
Kid's neck freaks me out. Look how long it is.
It is a very long neck. But this franchise is pretty low on people of color.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is why it's so dangerous and be killing them off.
What's this guy's name again?
Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Yeah, pretty sick name, right?
Yeah,
It's a really sick name.
He could have gotten more moments in this Hogwart.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because like how many moments can you give all these minor characters? But he's been popping up with dialogue in several movies now. So
he could have like magically like suplexed a troll or something. I don't know.
I feel like I know him better than I know Tonks, who was really only had like 5 lines.
The character of Tonks in these movies bothers me because her name is Nymphadora Tonks, and I feel like Nymphadora is a way cooler name. and they just refer to her as
Yeah,
Tonks
but
all the
that
time.
would
I'd just go by Nympho if I was her.
Yeah,
Nympho.
exactly.
I'm pretty sure the thing is that like she knows that the name sounds like Nympho and doesn't want to be called that.
That's
Like,
probably what it is. She's
Yeah.
like, dude, that is an outdated term and it's misogynist. And even though my name sounds like it, just call me Tonks. For
it's
Christ's
just when I hear someone call me that, it just makes me too horny.
I like that they show all the set pieces from the previous movies, like getting destroyed.
Yeah,
and stuff.
the Quidditch
the
pitch is on
bridge.
fire. Like
The
that's
bridge
fucking
goes down. In
That's
this
the
one.
biggest crime of this movie. They finally
Yeah,
destroyed
such a
this
good
bridge.
bridge.
This is the coolest bridge ever.
All right. There's a big missed opportunity, like at the end, after the bridge is destroyed and everything. Hogwarts is totally decimated, and Harry has the Elder Wand, and he realizes that he has the ultimate power, and it's his. And they're like, "What are you going to do with it?" He easily could have turned around and like went like this, and like we could have had a cool CGI shot like going around of like Hogwarts being repaired. But no, he just breaks it in half.
Harry Potter is such a dummy. And this is the problem with there's even a line when Aberforth
Dumbledore
is when Dumbledore 2 says like says like something's a foolish idea, and I don't think you're a fool, Harry. And I'm like, have you been watching these movies? He's always doing dumb shit. But
Harry's a hero.
He's got all three. He's a heroic dummy. He's got all three Deathly Hallows at various times, and he literally just loses two of them, or no, loses the cloak, leaves it in the vault at Gringotts, drops the stone of whatever, and then snaps
But he's still
the wand.
able to resurrect.
The resurrection
right? Isn't
stone.
that how he still came back?
I don't think so.
No, I think that he was
No,
just
he comes
like
back because he's had all of them at some point.
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
look, the point is that he's not interested in that kind of power. He's seen what it does, and Harry understands that the Deathly Hallows are far too powerful for any wizard to wield, and that they should be.
I get why he destroyed it, and I get that whole sentiment.
But he should have rebuilt
he should have
Hogwarts.
rebuilt Hogwarts.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's not that simple. Look, Hogwarts was built centuries ago by very powerful wizards, including, I believe, maybe like Merlin himself participated, but like definitely like the four house starters. And you got to understand, these stones are infused with all sorts of really complex wards and protective spells to keep the kids safe.
Merlin jizz.
So yeah, Merlin, the semen of many ancient wizards. And so Harry wasn't ready for that kind of task. He just won a fucking battle, you know.
This scene's cool. The Chamber of Secrets.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that
maybe
we
they'll
got
like
back to
pay
the
the
chamber.
workers this time instead of using like elf slave labor.
Yeah, exactly.
Not likely.
We haven't made that much progress.
I don't think the wizarding world actually progressed that
This
much.
shot right here, it's like a sea of white people.
Yeah.
Every time I see like the bad guys, they're
the
like
Slytherin or the Death Eaters. Yeah,
it's just all white guys.
It's eerily similar to 2022 America.
Yeah.
Every shot. This is another thing where they've got this shot of their hands just not touching, and then later when they're dead, they're laid out and their hands are touching each
Yeah,
other.
I like that.
A little foreshadowing.
I just hate that all the deaths in all these movies like always happen off screen. It's just a weird like cinematic.
You just
choice.
want to see
It's
the gory deaths of beloved
They don't have to be
characters.
gory, but I just want to see them like, like it almost like does them a disservice to just like, oh yeah, and they're dead. It's like you didn't even get to see how they died.
Gosh, it's almost like they rushed through some of their big moments.
Yeah, I was going to say this is exactly the point you were making earlier, which I did not miss and didn't care about because I was fine with not seeing every, mostly because I didn't care about most of these characters. Like Lupin is probably the most developed of any of these characters that dies, right? And he's still one of the least developed characters in this movie series,
Yeah, well, it's true. I feel like this series is best viewed as a visual aid for the books.
Yeah, like if they killed off Neville or Luna or something, I would want to see that.
Yeah,
and I'd probably be unhappy about it. But this is,
And it's like clear as day to me that Luna should have ended up with Harry, and Neville. I don't know. Neville first of all should have killed Lestrange, and then maybe end up with Ginny.
I love that Neville kills the snake though.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I
that's
like that
pretty
moment too.
Do you feel like Lupin should have gotten more screen time because every dog should have its day?
You really sold it by looking at everyone in the room in the eye and tried to. Really?
You better laugh at this.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really care who the people end up with. I mean, I think my biggest problem with the Ginny Weasley thing is it makes sense. It actually makes sense in my mind that Harry would fall in love with the sister of his best friend he's hanging out with and seeing all the time for his entire life.
Well, you know, this movie ends with the three of them holding hands, right? Like, that's the last thing in the movie. The three of them holding hands.
See,
So
this is what I'm talking about. Like,
Ron and Harry love each other.
they're a throuple.
Yes, it's a throuple.
You guys covered it. No, look, it's a compelling theory.
I feel like all these movies are about them as a throuple.
Oh, you know what the compelling theory I heard or read on IMDb trivia? Sorry, guys. I'm just reading you stuff off the internet now.
Okay.
But it was that what is the thing? The resurrection stone? That the curse of the resurrection stone is that it only brings back like ghosts of people that died and that they convince you to kill yourself, which is why like the original Deathly Hallows thing is like the guy brings back his wife and then he commits suicide soon after that. And then in this one, Harry brings back all his closest friends and family in the woods and they're all like, yep, go ahead and die, Harry. It's your time. Don't worry about it, buddy. It's not bad. It's pretty cool.
That is intense, man.
Yeah, it's like makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
We need a bigger data set though. We need to see what some other people have done.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
The
We
resurrection
don't
stone.
know enough. But, what are you laughing at? The kiss. Yeah, it's brutal. Like
he's laughing at Ginny and Harry's kiss.
Ginny can't even act like she's kissing somebody.
Maybe we should talk about Draco's arc here a little bit. Right, we're getting to his scene.
I kind of was looking for some Draco redemption at the end.
You've read the book, right?
Yeah,
It goes differently in the book where
I don't remember,
where Draco
honestly.
gets a better.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
that much better. I mean, I wish I remembered.
So let's
Really
let's
I
talk
do.
about all the things that have happened with Draco. So Draco, like, there's been good things and bad things, and he hesitated killing Dumbledore.
Right,
So that's, I guess, a good thing. But he also disarmed Dumbledore,
right.
which is a bad thing. And he's definitely like part of the Death Eaters, which is a bad thing. But then he doesn't identify Harry when he
The
clearly
sprinkles contain potassium benzoate. That's bad.
But he clearly doesn't identify Harry when he knows that it's Harry. So that's a good thing. And then in this movie, for some reason, he apparates into Hogwarts on this mission to murder Harry and his friends. And he gets his sidekicks involved. And then he chases them down. And then he tries to kill them. Although he doesn't use the killing curse. That's Goyle.
Yes.
And then Goyle sets the place on fire. And then Harry saves him.
Reckless.
Yeah,
They almost imply that like it's Goyle's peer pressure is like making Malfoy the way he is,
Right.
When it like hasn't seemed like that at all in any of the
Right,
previous
exactly.
movies.
It's Malfoy that's been the ringleader of these guys.
Yeah.
Who is being can you get peer pressured by your parents?
No, that's familial pressure.
He's being familial pressured by his parents the entire time. More his dad than his mom. But like, there's definitely like when Harry saves him, you think now he must understand that he shouldn't be a douche, right? Like if there's any chance of redemption, it's then. And then at the end,
when they beckon for
his
him
family
to come
calls him
over,
over and he just goes,
Right, but then they all bounce. They weren't calling him over to fight. They were calling him over to flee. But I feel like that's.
I guess.
But well, no. Here's the thing. Draco's a fucking weather vane. He just
Yeah.
goes whichever way's the wind blowing. He's not. He's a coward, and he's not necessarily like he doesn't. I was thinking a lot about listening to your previous discussions about his relationship with Harry, and why wouldn't he want to kill Harry? You know, and I feel like there's like. Almost, it's like a nostalgia thing. It's this interesting thing where he's like, "Well, I don't want to kill him. I bully him. You know, he's part of my childhood.
I need him.
You know, and so much of this is about their childhood ending and all that shit. And like but at the end of the day, like Draco's a coward.
Yeah.
and
That's
that's what
definitely.
they're driving home here. When you see them walking off, the whole family, you think like, oh, that's a family of cowards.
I feel like in these movies, there's something going on with Draco trying to decide between does he want to be like his father or want to be like his mother, because he really wants to impress either of them because they're like the aristocrats. They, you know, like obviously they were wealthy and like very.
And his mother's a black, right?
Elitist.
She's. Like,
yeah, I think she
she's
was. Yeah, she
Bellatrix's
was like-
sister.
Yeah,
Black family.
totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That does require in this movie some clarification.
Yeah, right. Like, and ultimately, like, he decides to go with his mother, and the father is sort of like the father was the truly Voldemort loyalist, right? And
Well, he
Kind of, but he's
feels
even more.
off,
He's
too.
even more of a coward than Draco is, I think.
Yeah, the way I always read it was that Harry Potter saved the soul of Draco Malfoy, because after he chose to save Draco's life, there was a moment in the book at the end when they're all on the train platform where Harry and Draco kind of have a moment where they nod, and it's like, yeah, we still don't like each other, but there's like an understanding here.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to talk about here, not on the topic of this movie, but so much of this movie is about bullying. And like you think about like Snape, who never forgives what's his name?
James
Potter.
Harry's dad, and
I was
the
gonna
rest
say
of the
Thomas,
and the
too.
rest of the crew.
Why do we think his name was
I'm
Thomas?
thinking Bruce Wayne.
Oh, right.
But anyways, yeah, he never forgives James Potter for being a bully. And that's another thing, like in these movies, we don't see that much of James Potter. We probably see as much of him being a douchebag in school as we do of him being Harry's nice dad. You know?
There's no question that he went through a shitty phase where he was
exactly.
really being a dick to Snape. But to be fair, Snape was a little weirdo who was like lusting after his
He had it
girlfriend.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he totally
should be.
Look, I'm just saying that teenagers do horrible things to each other, and then sometimes they grow out of it.
And that's exactly what I want to talk about, because it's so funny. Like, I was just thinking about people I went to school with. And like now when I see them, I don't have any animosity towards, I mean, I probably didn't get bullied that bad, but I don't have any in fact, I've had multiple people who bullied me in school drunkenly come up to me in diners and apologize tearfully.
Yeah, you're that little bitch kid, right?
No, it's like the opposite. Like they're like, oh, I was such an asshole back then. Oh man, you must hate me. And I'm like, dude, don't even think about you, but don't worry about it. All's forgiven. But
I find it interesting that you said that happened multiple times, but I find it way, way more interesting that you specify that both times or more than both times it happened in a diner.
That's where people go when they're drunk.
Yeah, you have a lot of drunken diner run-ins.
Drunken.
People, yeah.
If somebody's going to tearfully apologize for bullying you in high school, I guarantee there's like a 75% chance it's happening in a diner at 3 a.m.
It just made me feel like anytime you go to your hometown, you are at the diner like for 24 hours.
Yeah,
straight.
just hanging out to see who shows up.
I will say, like, diners are a bit of an East Coast thing.
They're everywhere.
I don't know, man. I'm from Alaska. We had shitloads of all-night diners there.
Okay, so maybe they're in everything.
I
So
was
why are
in-
you guys so confused then?
One time I went to New York, with this woman I was dating, and she was like, well, part of the New York experience is going to diners in the middle of the night. And I'm like, dude, I've gone to diners in the middle of the night in literally every city I've been in. Like,
Yeah, but the middle of the night in Alaska is like 3 p.m.
In New York, the diners are open 24 hours, and you can eat there in the middle of the night. So it's like a big draw here.
but again, that's been true. And we could go to a
that's
diner
everywhere.
right now, you know.
It's just Waffle House is bigger in the South, right? Like it's not as much Waffle House up there.
We actually call them the diners of the South.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
And we warn people, don't eat at them. But I think that's we see the same thing here, because we see obviously Harry and Draco, and I've been doing a really good job.
Did you
calling
guys,
him, I've been not calling him Darko at all today. But we see them sort of acknowledge each other, and obviously there's no hard feelings there, even though he literally tried to murder him a few times. So I think it's like interesting how this deals with that idea of bullies and how like Snape was kind of holding a grudge a little more than I think most people would.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Snape had some issues.
Did you guys put on Alicia Keys during the scene where the room of requirement is incinerated? Because this Goyle is on fire.
Now, are you sure that it was Goyle and not Crab?
It definitely was, because
It
they
was
yelled, Goyle lit the place on fire.
Did you notice? I just noticed in the subtitles that character who just came up and said, "My Lord de Voldemort" is named Thickness.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Is it with 2 C's or CK?
CK, but with an E at the end. Thickness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, with 2 C's, he would definitely have to have a little ass.
Like why?
I think it's probably an English surname.
What did you guys
Sir
think
Thickness.
of the revelation when it's revealed that the Patronus that saved Harry was actually Snape's Patronus, right? Isn't that what they were driving at?
Was that in Azkaban? Or which?
There
That's
is
what
in Azkaban a Patronus does
The
save
dough
him.
led them to Gryffindor's sword.
Yeah, that was in the previous movie.
In just
Maybe Snape busted it out of Bellatrix's vault, or maybe, I don't know. That sword just presents itself to Gryffindors who are in need of it.
Well, the
seems
way
to-
that scene plays out, it's like he's like, yeah, that was my Patronus. And they're like, oh, the same as Lily Potter's. And they're like, oh.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that
And I was like, I guess, but why?
Right. I was like, wait,
Lily.
is Snape really Harry's dad?
Well, wait, no, but Harry's dad's Patronus was a stag too, wasn't it?
It was a stag, not a
Stag
doe.
and a doe are two different things.
And but Harry's is a stag.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just
So
a lot of
what I
deer
didn't,
people, I
didn't
suppose.
get. Do people choose what their Patronus is? Because it seemed like it was sort of when he was teaching the other kids the Patronus in the room of requirements.
It's clear that it has to be something that's dear to them.
Yeah, I think it just manifests.
It's something that they need to fawn over.
Oh, very good, guys. Very good. But yeah, it seems like it was just like the kids didn't know what it was going to be, and they were kind of surprised when it was like a rabbit or something. So I don't know how, like, is it because they were similar personalities, and that's why they had similar Patronuses?
I took it as Snape is really Harry's dad. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it.
It would be more like Snape is really Lily's.
Yeah, it'd be
brother
Snape
or
is really
something.
Harry's mom.
Or maybe, well, look, I mean, like,
Snape and Lily are the same person.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily means they're family. You know, I mean, I think it just means that they're like-minded individuals, or
Soulmates.
they were soulmates. Yeah.
I want to see some more like exotic like Patronuses, like a gorilla and a capybara.
Yeah, where's the gorilla
Pangolin?
Patronuses? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, check this out. This shot,
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
this children and men shot. Like, okay, so there's a troll. They're like, oh shit, the troll's gonna get us.
And
Let's
he's
go.
swinging a goalpost, a Quidditch goalpost.
Right, like
cool.
that's cool. They're like, let's hide in a bell. He takes one swipe, misses the whole bell, and then he's like, I don't know, I'm gonna go over here. And they're like, oh shit, okay, let's run somewhere else. Like, I'm just saying, like, oh, spiders. All right, let's run the other way. Like, this is not a battlefield scene.
But
Like,
this scene is also not about them fighting fucking spiders.
no,
It's
but
about
it
them
should
getting
be, is
somewhere
what I'm
else.
saying. I want them to fight the fucking
I
spiders.
want them to get where they're going so the movie can end.
Yeah, it's not a war movie in the way that like Lord of the
Is this
Rings.
guy eating what's her name?
I mean,
Lavender.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
that was
he's the
Fenrir
wolfman.
Greyback, the werewolf. And he
Oh,
was,
the
she's
werewolf
not
guy.
dead. She's gonna be a werewolf.
well, she looked pretty
maybe.
good.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, I mean, look, I know, I get it. It's not a war movie, but this is the end of an 8-movie franchise with a huge set piece scene that's a battle. So it wouldn't have hurt to like develop that a little bit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess if the battle scenes were more engaging. Oh, I just noticed that
Dumbledore 2 wears a kilt.
Two wears a kilt. Yeah, I just noticed it.
Yeah.
I noticed that immediately.
Like, yeah, his whole character arc is capped off by one shot where we reveal that he's returned to cast a Patronus. I mean, I'm sorry, that's like a rushed moment. Maybe it wasn't necessary to know that much
But
about him
anymore,
anyway,
it would be
so.
too Deus Ex Machina, is what I'm saying. Like, you'd be
Well,
like, who is this guy?
And
Why is he coming out
here's
of
maybe
nowhere?
my broader point about all of this, like battle scenes and everything like that, is that like, and this also goes for most Marvel movies, and doesn't go for something like Lord of the Rings or an actual war movie. Is that
Star Wars.
if you can shoot a battlefield scene compellingly. But this has the same problem that Marvel does of it's just people blasting lasers at each other, and it gets really fucking boring to see wand fights, And since they don't really come up with, like, if they had some clever ways to, but you know how the kids would fight the spiders? They'd blast them with spells, and the spiders would do stuff, and they'd blast them with more spells.
Sometimes they say words for the spells. Sometimes they
But
don't.
I mean, that's pretty
It's fucking
reductive.
boring.
That's like saying, like, well, in Star Wars, it's just a bunch of guys with laser swords and guns. I
No,
mean,
that's why
sword fight-
that's why you don't get a lot of like protracted blaster battles.
A sword
in Star
fight
Wars.
is cool. A
Yeah.
laser sword fight is even cooler.
Although
right. Well, a wand fight could be really cool and has been cool at certain points in these movies.
That is an opinion.
I mean, look, well, here,
Maybe it could be,
Think
but
about
most of
this.
them are mercifully very short.
movie 5, 6, 7, and 8, we've all been in the hands of David Yates, who is not an action set piece guy, you know, and like,
Maybe another good reason to cut the action.
well, sure, okay,
short.
look, he does a lot of stuff I like, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but I will say this though, like to me, this screams war movie, both parts. There's so many parallels with like World War II shit and like being on the run from Nazis and French resistance shit, and then this is a battle. This is the climactic battle of an 8-movie franchise. So
I got really anxious when Harry turned off his targeting computer.
okay, well, look, I'll stop. We can talk about other stuff. I've been harping on this for like. I'm done harping. I've harped on it enough. I've made my point, and you guys have made some really good points too. Maybe it doesn't need as much.
So 2 things here. Number 1, we should do top 4 in a second. But number 2, I wrote, is Snape into Google search, and it populated, is Snape Harry's father?
Because Google just heard you saying it, and it's trying to give you what you want.
No.
Okay, do you want to do Kelly MacDonald?
Yeah, let's try her. Sure.
All right. Oh, this isn't bad. This is two of these are the.
I know I've seen her and stuff, but I'm gonna really struggle.
Two
with
of
I'm
these
gonna
are the
fucking
second
shit
and
the bed
third
here.
movies I would have guessed, and one is
A show.
another one that no show. One is not sorry, Boardwalk Empire fans.
Damn.
Don't bother guessing it.
Oh, I've seen that.
Okay, guest goes first.
Well, I'm gonna say Trainspotting.
That is wrong.
What?
Shocking. That really is her. I think
right, hit
still her
round.
most famous.
God, I'm gonna. that was the only thing.
Matt,
I
do you
had.
have an actual guess?
That was my guess. I'll say this movie.
No.
Damn.
Boardwalk Empire.
No.
Wait, do they put TV shows in there?
Sometimes, but usually we warn you, and I actually warned you guys that Boardwalk Empire was not the right answer.
Oh boy, I got nothing here. I mean, I'm struggling to even think of what I've seen her in, even though I know I've
She's
seen
got
her in
that
it.
pleasant Irish accent,
Yeah, was she?
but not in everything.
No, I'm picturing her in like some hat, and I know that I've seen this movie a million times, but I don't know.
She does
Do I get a
pretty
hint,
good-
or do you just pass me like I have?
I guess I'm going to have to do a little bit of a hint. She does a pretty good Southern accent too.
Does she?
Yeah,
Is that your hint?
yeah, that's my hint.
Yeah,
Nice Texas accent, for instance.
I know.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Texas movie.
Texas movie. Fuck.
I know it. Yeah.
I'm gonna kick myself when I don't know this.
There's like a movie that I'm thinking of that I don't think she was in. Look, you guys, like I'm gonna be treading water here for a really long time. Do I just pass or something?
You could just,
Like,
yeah, you could.
I've got
definitely
nothing,
just
and I don't
pass.
want to hold this up.
Matt,
No Country for Old Men.
that is correct.
Oh, I knew that one.
Okay,
She's
so-
Lou Ellen's
Yeah,
wife.
Lou Ellen's
Yeah.
wife. So we got to give you another clue.
Yeah.
One of these is a sequel to a well-known movie that she's in.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Colin, Matt's got him. Matt's getting these hints pretty quickly.
The only one we've got right so far is No Country.
Yes.
A sequel to a well-known movie that she's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's in the movie and she's in the sequel. It's a franchise. It's a twofer.
It's a twofer. And it's a Lego sequel.
It's a Lego movie.
No, it's like a legacy sequel.
A Lego movie too. No.
Oh,
Like a sequel that was made more than 20 years after the original with all the same people.
oh, what
God, you could just pass if you want.
the hell? Top Gun.
No, it's not Top Gun.
It's Trainspotting 2.
I was gonna guess that. It was my turn.
It was your turn.
Yeah. Once you said legacy sequel, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, we'll give that one to me.
Okay.
But Trainspotting 1 was wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, that fucking top
All right.
four. IMDb is
all right.
I mean, these are just generated by some algorithm, right?
Yeah, we
Based
don't
on
know what the
search
algorithm
results or
is.
something. Yeah.
Here's this is another movie where she gets to use her beautiful original Scottish accent. And this one was directed by Robert Altman. Matt, I think it's your turn.
Oh.
I would say this is Robert Altman's last great movie.
Oh, is it wait, did he do this movie? I'm thinking of did he do that Osage County movie? Is that him? No.
Oh,
Wait.
August Osage County.
I know what it is.
Is that it?
No, that's
No.
not it.
Is it
Damn.
called Gosford Park? Is that
It
correct?
is called Gosford Park.
Oh, nice.
Very much is. All right, last movie. She plays the voice of what I believe is the lead character in this animated movie from
I know it.
2012.
Whose turn is it?
I think
It's Collins, I think.
I
Oh,
got Gosford
oh
Park.
yeah, you got
Yeah, Gosford Park, so it's my turn. Animated film from 2012.
Yep, she plays the lead. I guess I could give you a little more of a hint. I think she's technically a Disney princess.
Is she?
Oh, it's Brave or Tangled.
Sorry.
Yeah,
good
I
job, person who isn't.
I really was about to say Brave because I was
you
like,
got it.
oh yeah, Scottish, but okay. Brave, by the way, my favorite Pixar movie.
So you technically won, even though you never said.
Even though,
correct.
well, I mean, look, that's
I think that's a top four first.
I mean, maybe I did also remove myself from the running before I made all those guesses.
Good top four.
Well, that was a tough one.
Yeah, wait, what about not Vern Troyer, Warwick Davis?
Oh,
You do
Warwick
him.
Davis.
Okay.
He would be
Him
good.
or John Hurt, I think, would be really interesting.
Well, let's try.
Although we're coming up on
The big battle.
Oh wait, no, that we're about to jump into the flashback sequence where we
Which
learn
we
all
already
about
kinda
Snape's
talked
history.
about.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
So like, there's a whole big deal about like how Daniel Radcliffe's eyes are blue, but the character's eyes were green. But that's important because the mom's eyes were green. But in the world of the movies, we're supposed to think that the mom's eyes were blue, I guess, because it's still important that his eyes are the same or whatever. But then in the flashback, the little girl, Lily Potter, has brown eyes. What is that about?
These movies make no sense, Colin.
Come on.
They were talking about the shape of the eye.
He's
Colin,
supposed
not
to have
color.
his mother's eyes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
They're really talking about the lashes. I
It's
think.
actually like a Hot Shots joke. Like he opens up like a glasses case and
Yeah,
he's got two
exactly.
eyeballs in there.
Warwick
The
Davis
ones
is
with
good.
the springs where the ball falls.
Warwick Davis is good. Let's do Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So he's in basically every fantasy movie of the last 30 years.
That's true. All right.
Oh, am
Paul,
I
you wanna
first?
go- No.
Oh,
Guess goes first.
Oh, I get to go first? Willow.
Yes.
that's what I was gonna
Nice.
guess.
There's a Willow show coming out.
With
Yeah,
him returning.
Yeah.
Trailer looked good.
Probably a lot of his actors from his company too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Val Kilmer though? Maybe.
No.
I hope there's a romantic storyline. You know, a real Willow, they won't they?
Colin, just for that, you want to go next? If you can contain yourself from laughing at your dumb joke.
Look, that was solid. That was really solid.
Harry Potter and the first one, Harry Potter 1. I don't know. Harry Potter 1.
No, not Harry Potter 1.
Wrong.
Maybe the Harry Potter where he has lions. I'm going to say this movie.
Yes.
Yes.
This movie.
He does have lines in the first one. He does the voice.
Quiet you.
Sorry.
Wait, that's his lines, right?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so is that me now?
Yes.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Return of the Jedi.
No.
Ooh.
Wrong.
Is he one of the Ewoks?
He's
Wicked.
main, He's Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Ewok, the main Ewok.
You never see his face, obviously.
No, it's Colin.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
No.
Wrong.
We've done Star Wars. We've done Harry Potter. We've done Willow. Are the rest of his just like other Harry Potter or Star Wars movies?
I'm going to give you no.
Oh, okay. And there's no shows on there?
Nope.
Okay.
I love this scene between Dumbledore and Snape. Like seeing this moment
Yeah.
where Snape has just seen Lily get killed and Dumbledore is like being like, all right, you work for me now, asshole. It's fucking great.
His hair is shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the one where he comes into Dumbledore's office after she dies, and he's like, I trusted you. Like you said you were going to do this shit, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I fucking blew it. Like everyone's
I'm Dumbledore. Look
yeah,
at me.
I'm Dumbledore. This is sort of my thing is standing by and doing nothing while bad things happen.
Dumbledore don't do
The word
shit.
dumb is in my name.
Whose turn is it?
It's
It's
mine.
Matt's still hemming and hawing.
Yeah. I feel like it's something obvious, but it's not coming to me. I'm going to say... I'll say The Fellowship of the Ring.
No.
Wrong.
Okay, hint round. These last two movies are both genre movies.
No shit.
One of them is a sci-fi adaptation, and one of them is a horror film.
Leprechaun.
Yes.
Oh, that's so obvious.
He's the leprechaun?
He's the
He
leprechaun.
is.
Wow.
And so now we just have a sci-fi adaptation left.
And it's my turn?
It is your turn. And I think you've guessed this movie on past things, and it's always been stupidly wrong.
The one time.
I think so. I can't quite remember, but I feel like you've definitely.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like a movie I've seen.
I like how they showed that guy, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher from the first movie who wore the turban on his
guy.
head.
Yeah. Quirrell.
Quarrel, that's it.
Your father was a swine.
Oh, so what is this all about? That Dumbledore's dying, and that's why they decide to go through with this plan?
Yeah, because he had to like drink that fucked up juice in the tomb at the end of Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, that's right.
And at the end of the
his
fifth
hand
one.
was already like that from destroying the ring one, or like
No, it was Half-Blood
Or was it the
Prince.
fight with Voldemort?
Yeah, who knows what it was, but he's
because his hand was fucked up for the whole 6th book, remember? Yeah. And he was like, it's not a big deal, but it was killing him the whole time. So whatever it was, it happened at the end of the 5th one, maybe during his fight with Voldemort at the end of part 5
so he fights with Voldemort, and then he also destroys the ring after that. So it could have been either one of those things.
Yeah.
Colin, do you have
Dune?
No, it is not Dune.
Fuck.
Wrong.
I think we need a stronger hint.
I think you need to guess, and then we'll do another. Got to make it at least through the round.
All right.
Get it
So
wrong.
it's just
I feel
a sci-fi.
like if I get one
Sci-fi
more hint, I
adaptation.
can do this.
Is it, Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Yes,
Galaxy?
it is. Good
Nice,
job.
dude.
Who's he in that?
I don't fucking know. What am I? The head of Warwick Davis?
That's it. We got all 4?
You got all 4?
Bam. Yes.
Unless you want to do John Hurt.
You know who else is in
Let's do John
Hitchhiker's
Hurt
Guide
real
to the
quick.
Galaxy?
This is our last opportunity.
Okay. Might not be our last opportunity. He's got some good movies.
John Hurt's
no,
gonna
it
be
actually
hard.
is our last opportunity.
I'm like not very good at classic films.
All right, we're gonna do. Well, these are all classic films.
You know Snape is in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
I did not know the character with Snape was in Hitchhiker's
No,
Guide.
well,
Weird
it's not-
crossover.
Yeah.
All right. Paul, you want to name a John Hurt movie? Any old John Hurt movie?
I mean, dude, you have no idea how far outside of my element I am here. I'm going to say Richard III.
No, that is not.
It was Richard II.
No, that is not one of his top 4, unfortunately. But I do think he's in that, so that's good. Good job there.
Thanks.
My turn. Alien.
Yes.
Nice.
Very good.
Great.
That was my guess. I'll say they're all like old movies, you're saying?
They're all older movies, yeah. And I think they're all, well, one of them I don't know if it's necessarily regarded as a classic, but the other 2 are.
I so badly want to say Spaceballs because he reprises the same
Yeah.
role from Alien.
But don't say that.
I won't say that.
I'm willing to say it.
Oh, man.
I'll give you a hint. He was nominated for an Academy Award for at least one of these, if not both. He might have even won for one of these.
Maybe he absorbed her Patronus in this moment when he was like holding her right after she was killed, and that's why it's a doe. I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject.
No, good to.
I can't think. I'm just going to say V for Vendetta. I know he's in that.
No.
V for Vendetta. That's a nice guess.
Wrong.
Because he's the prime minister guy, right?
I think so, yeah.
The one where I should check if he won an Oscar or was just nominated for one, but he co-stars with Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, I know what it is. But it's not my turn, right?
No, it isn't. Back to Paul.
The Lion in Winter.
No.
I don't even know who's in that.
It was The Lion in Summer.
Don't remember, but it sounds about right.
No, the title is definitely The Lion in Winter. I just don't remember if he's in it. But like, there's a lot of old school actors in that, I think.
I don't know. He was just nominated for this and the other one. Colin, you got to guess? Anthony Hopkins, John Hurt, Oscar nominees.
The Silence of the Lambs.
No.
Damn.
Wrong.
I am not an animal.
Yeah, the Elephant Man.
The Elephant Man.
Okay, these last 2 are going to be hard. One is...
Sidebar, I never put it together that when Danny DeVito in Batman Returns says, what does he say? I am an animal, or I'm not a he doesn't say I'm not a human. He says I am an animal.
Yeah.
I am not a man, I am an animal. Yeah. That's playing off of that.
Okay. The last clues are one of these is based on a famous dystopian sci-fi novel, and it came out in the 80s.
Yes, I know what it is.
1984.
That's right.
Yep.
And the other one is, this is probably the hardest one, although he was nominated for an Oscar for his role here. It's about I'll read you the summary. Billy Hayes, an American college student, is caught smuggling drugs out of Turkey and thrown into prison.
Are you kidding me? This is what I don't know. The Turkish Delight.
Good guess.
Wrong.
Matt, do you know this one?
I know the movie. I just can't think of the title of it. Wait, don't say it.
I'll give you a hint.
Express, something Express.
It's not a cowboy, not a run. It is definitely an express.
It's like, fuck.
Come on, anybody can guess this
Midnight
now.
Express?
It's not a cowboy, not a run.
Midnight Express.
Midnight Express.
Midnight Express. That's
We both said it right. Anyway.
Yeah, Colin was still guessing dumb answers.
No, my guess was not right.
I mean,
I was thinking pineapple.
it was handy.
Pineapple Express is another good
Pineapple
one. Yeah.
Express. There's a lot of midnights, a lot of expresses.
Yep. A real struggle. I have to say that I was not entirely certain. The only reason I knew that Harry Potter didn't die at the end of this movie is because there was still like a half hour to go in the movie at this point when he goes off to the woods to meet his death. Otherwise, I was like thinking, oh, does he die at the end of the series? That would be fucking dark if he dies sacrificing himself. And I was like, oh, I guess that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
But then it was just too early in the movie for him to die now and to have like 30 minutes of a wrap up about it.
When book 8 was coming, book 7 was coming out, that was a hotly debated topic in the fandom. Because like there was a lot of hints that it was building to this. Because, and I think the whole prophecy was like neither can die while the other one lives or something like that. So it was like baked in from the start, like Harry might have to die to take out Voldemort. You know? And so we were all arguing over whether that was going to happen. I was always like, no, because J.K. Rowling is not going to kill Harry Potter. She loves him too much, clearly. Yeah. You know?
But it does like the way they build to it. It all does make sense. And I think it was, I think it was very satisfying the way they sort of explained it all and wrapped it up. I didn't get why he can become resurrected after he goes to the limbo place. But it was also one of those things. No, it's not the resurrection stone, which just drops on the ground and doesn't use.
But they make such a moment out of this.
I think it was like I think it was his mom's like love ward continuing to protect him, because that's why the killing curse was absorbed only by the fragment of Voldemort's soul that was in Harry.
Oh, or the fact that he says at the end that, so this is another like plot hole that doesn't bother me that much, but bothers me a little, is like Voldemort's supposed to be some great fucking wizard who knows all this shit, and he's like smart and he knows about Horcruxes and all this other stuff. And he doesn't understand that it's not the person who kills the person that gets control of the wand, it's the person who disarms them.
No, he just didn't realize about the whole thing with Draco, because Draco had been the one to actually disarm Voldemort, or Dumbledore, but Voldemort didn't know that.
So he just didn't understand. Yeah,
he assumed that since Snape killed him, it was Snape who had disarmed him.
Right. Okay.
He didn't see it happen.
That's true. Okay, that's a good point. So not a plot hole at all. But that could be why Harry survives here, because the wand is loyal to Harry and not Voldemort.
That's
what Voldemort's trying to kill him.
Yeah. Totally. It's Harry's wand.
I thought that he lives through dying once because at one time he possessed all 3 of the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the wand and the stone were left to him, and he already had the cloak.
But he explains at the end that the wand was loyal to him because he disarmed Draco earlier.
I think it's also implied too, and it might be clearer in the books, that Malfoy, like, he didn't tell Voldemort what actually went down.
Yeah.
You know? And so because of the misconstruing of facts, Voldemort didn't know. Yeah.
Did you guys get emotional at this scene? I cried my ass off yesterday watching this. I'm like, is it just me? Like, but also just coming to this as adults without a lot of connection to the franchise. Like, how deep did any of this hit you on an emotional level? I'm curious.
Well, I was thinking about ghost smells again, but
okay. For the record, typically smells come from demons as a part of demonic oppression. It's not so much the spirits that do that. Yeah, demons are the ones that create the smells.
Well, I miss getting to say what I want to say, but there is, at the end of the Deathly Hallows story, they make a really big point of saying if anyone can have the Deathly Hallows, they become the master of death. Like they say that super clearly. But I think that's why I thought it was he lives through it, because he's technically the master of all 3 of the Hallows.
But I think that message was that if you had all 3 of them, you could hide from death, you could fight death, you could bring people back from death.
Yeah.
But only if you have them. If you possess the Deathly Hallows, you can become the master of death. Not if you ever did possess the death. Because the guy with the wand they all get killed.
No one else ever had all 3 though.
Yeah,
except for Harry.
But I think, he doesn't have them all at the same time. I don't know.
Are we nitpicking? Or what?
I think you're misinterpreting what they said. But
I don't know. I don't know.
But maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, it is sad to talk to dead people, though.
I didn't get emotional in that scene. I got emotional in the Snape scene when Snape
actually
tells him to take his tears, and then later when we see the flashbacks and how attached Snape was, which it's sort of like the thing of like, are you are you really good with the ladies, or are you a pathetic loser who's stalking somebody? It kind of depends on how handsome you are. Is like there's a very like if Snape isn't the lead of the story, he's also this creepy guy who's obsessed with this girl who's not into him, which is a different way of looking at it. But
it's not quite that creepy though, because they were friends.
Right?
Like
yeah,
it was
exactly.
like he just wanted more and she didn't. She wanted JP because he was a hot dude,
the handsome popular kid.
Can I also just say that I don't think that, like, to me, Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort is an all-time great cinematic villain. I think he's so awesome in these movies. And it's another character that I think gets elevated beyond what's in the books by the performance.
I agree. The no-nose thing is sometimes distracting.
I think he looks really cool, and especially in this movie, there's a lot of close-ups of his face, and you can see, like, the pores and stuff, like, right there.
And, like, his body's decaying. Like, he looks worse with every Horcrux they kill.
Yes. Which I think is really cool. But however, I think his final battle, like, I feel like it's a missed opportunity that they didn't, like, I personally love it when, like, some choice of the villains, you know, for villainy sake, it ends up being their own undoing kind of thing, you know? Like, that to me is the most satisfying villain thwarting or death, is like when they think they are winning, and then they realize that like something they did is going to be the thing that kills them. And
isn't that just what happened just there?
We kind of get it here,
that's what happens.
with the wand, but they just don't make you get the explanation after the fact, and like their battle was just nothing to me, and then all of a sudden he just starts like fading away.
There's
Back to my point earlier about wand battles not being that interesting is like how long can you see two people blast?
I wanted
laser
some
beams at
lines.
each
I wanted
other?
to be like, I've got you now, Harry. Like, you fool. You know, I have the Elder Wand. Ha ha. And then Harry says, like, joke's on you, Voldemort. Like, the Elder Wand is mine, you know? And then he zaps him. Like, something, you know?
Fair. All that stuff is really fair. But I really like the scene where Voldemort comes in there real confident, kind of dancing around, saying everyone has to join him now, acting real fucking weird.
I like him living it up.
And then Harry reveals that he's still alive by flopping over on the ground and
everyone
running away
runs.
while shooting blindly.
That's cool. Wait, we didn't talk about weird, like, fetal
bloody little fetus Voldemort.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
in
It's
this
great.
pure white room. That looks really sick.
And he looks so sad.
Also, you know, one thing that this scene made me emotional too. I mean, honestly, like I think, like I haven't revisited Harry Potter in a long time, and I was like crying through the last half hour of this movie yesterday. It's so much that I got a headache. But like one thing that I love about this scene is that fucking Dumbledore just gets sick of him at the end of the scene, and Harry Potter keeps asking him questions, and he keeps turning back to answer them until finally the last one he doesn't even answer. He's just like, Harry, just go back.
I've got to take a shit, Harry. You need to leave.
I've been waiting here in limbo forever, and I want to go to heaven where they have actual bathrooms.
Like I'm trying to get back to
Voldemort, what
easy.
do I do? Shut up, Harry. That's what you do. You don't need glasses in
You're
limbo.
a cunt, Harry.
You're a cunt, Harry. I feel like in Death, Dumbledore's beard got a little shorter, no? Wasn't it like super long?
He's
with,
looking
like,
very Gandalf-y in this scene.
Yeah.
It was very, it's like Gandalf walking around in whatever the like control room of the Matrix was. Remember, like in the Matrix movies, Neo would go to almost this room.
Yeah.
Get guns and shit. Yeah.
Well, no, but remember, like he would talk to the architect. He would take him into that white room with all the TVs. It was very similar. And this came out like just a couple years after the last Matrix, if I remember right.
When they said King's Cross Station, though, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of see the tracks and the columns and stuff. I hadn't really noticed until they said that. I thought it was weird that I thought they were in Heaven's waiting room, and that's what the benches were for.
Where's that waitress from the when he used to hang out at the train?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she's not dead, so
That'd be funny if the little like goblin guy that got torched was in there too,
yeah.
He's still on fire.
like still waving to them.
Just sitting there. It's like the Beetlejuice scene where he's just like calmly sitting there on fire.
Yeah.
Excuse me, where am I?
I love Michael Gambon too. I think he's an amazing Dumbledore.
Yeah, I still, as much as I love Richard Harris, he was, in my opinion, the superior Dumbledore. As somebody who didn't read the books, I noticed a lot of book readers seem to think Richard Harris was nailing it, and Michael Gambon is a little too angry and fiery. But
It's a choice, and it turned me off at first. But the more I watch these movies, the more I think it's a really interesting interpretation, and not at odds with anything in the books. And I also think that Richard Harris was like the right Dumbledore for those two movies, which are very like warm, nostalgic,
Paternal.
safe kid
Yeah.
movies, you know.
Yep.
But as the world gets, that's what I think is so brilliant about this whole franchise. Like in every way, it ages with the characters. You know,
Yeah.
the story gets more complex, the themes get more complex, the world gets more like lore heavy and nerdy. You know,
Well, I talked about it a little earlier, but I really love the way this movie was shot. I think this one looks really good again. And I like that it's got like some scenes that are a little monochromatic, like when they break back into Hogwarts and Snape is in control. There's this very like sort of, locked off, careful, symmetrical camera movements, and everything's kind of gray and black. But then there's also a lot of colorful scenes, and I think a lot of the CGI, they didn't overdo it, they didn't overextend themselves. Most of it looks pretty good considering how much of it there is. There's probably more in this than in any of the previous ones, and it all comes off. And I was thinking of how this doesn't look like the last one, and how that one didn't look like Half-Blood Prince, and I kind of, I'm a sucker for when any franchise kind of reinvents itself and has distinct signature touches of each film. I'm starting to reassess the Half-Blood Prince and how wonky and stupid that looked, because at least it had a style that it was going for. And I kind of forgive it for that, because I like that it was doing something different, and that all these movies kind of, they have a different style visually, and they have a different style narratively, and they progressed from silly kids movies to darker, more adult stuff. And I really respect that in this franchise, for having the boldness to try different things and be distinct.
Totally. What's interesting to me is that part one of this story, part 1 and 2 are like, it's basically one long movie, but I think they look totally different.
Yeah.
Part 1's very like naturalistic, verite style, like, like you said, on location, everything's like tangible. And then this movie goes a little bit more towards like that dark thing. But what I like also is that as soon as it's over, like when the bad guys are all dead and gone, the sun rises and it becomes like really saturated at the end, like the final scene.
Yeah, they have bright moments in this, and colorful moments. They just disperse them sort of.
Who's
ways.
not in this? What's the bad guy's name? The little chubby guy. He's like Worm Tongue or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
Peter Pettigrew.
Wormtail.
Yeah, Peter Pettigrew. Yeah, he's not in this.
Is he
Scabbers.
dead? Is he dead at this
Oh,
point?
Scabbers. Why
When-
are you
when
still
did
alive,
he-
and why are you watching me? while
When
I
did
do
he
this?
die?
I don't remember. I feel like he died, but I don't know when.
Did he die at one of the fights in the last movie?
There was in the flashback thing. He was in the flashback.
He was in the flashback. Did he die in part 6?
No, you know what? The last time we saw him was when he gets blasted in the back by Dobby, when Dobby's freeing them from the Malfoys.
Oh, did
dungeon.
Dobby kill him?
Dude, I bet Dobby
Maybe
took him
Dobby
out.
killed him.
Dobby fucking killed him, dude. That's
Dobby
that's
just
great.
overdid it a little bit.
No, Dobby knew what he was doing, man. Dobby's a cold-blooded killer.
Dobby is the best wizard in this entire
He was like,
franchise.
okay, well, no, but like house elves have a very special and different kind of magic. It's constrained by their servitude to wizards, but like
Dobby's a free man.
yeah, exactly. That's why he's so powerful. Because house elves are like much closer to nature, so it's like raw nature magic that they're wielding.
Tell you what, you give Dobby that super wand, he would be stirring shit up.
Oh, dude,
He could do
Dobby with
anything.
Dobby with the Elder Wand would be bad news. That's why HP broke it. He's like, we can't let a house elf get a hold of this thing.
Think of what this could do in the hands of an elf like Dobby.
Of what's the bad elf creature?
Creature.
Yeah, what a creature
yeah,
got
what
his hands on the super wand.
I mean, he'd need to be freed first. But
Now,
yeah,
Hagrid must understand that he's carrying a live person at this point, right? At some point,
He's been farting the whole time.
I feel like he probably
we know
does.
Daniel Radcliffe's corpses.
We've seen that movie.
Stink the place up. Yeah, like at some point, does Harry like signal to him, like gives him a little tug in the beard, and is like, "Hey, by the way, at the big moment, you got to drop me. Do not, if I start flopping out of your arms, don't like grab me harder or something. It's really gonna ruin my
flops on the
my
ground.
big entrance."
It's like such a bad. He just flops on the ground.
And we also have this thing where, like, okay, first of all, the only person who checks
I love all
if
this.
Harry Potter's alive is Draco's mom, and she just wants to know if Draco is alive. And Harry says yes, although he doesn't mention that, like, hey, I saved his life, so like, be cool, lady.
I think she inferred that.
Yeah, I
think
guess.
I think she got it because she knew that Draco was going after
That's
him.
true. That's true. So she knows that. Ergo, he did not kill Draco.
Plus, I think she understands that there's like sort of a repressed bromance between them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a
so
love-hate.
This is probably just confirming her expectation that, yes, Harry Potter would indeed spare and even save her son.
Right.
See, I love that. I love those hand gestures.
Confident Voldemort is the best.
Trust in me. Trust in me. I love it. I love this entire speech. This scene. This is like
Teeth right there. What is
every
it?
once in a while, I feel like
So
Ray
good.
Fiennes has been like, I don't know, a little big or flamboyant or not like conveying the menace as much as possible.
Yeah.
And in this scene, he's doing both. He's being big and flamboyant and conveying the menace. Like, this is him at his best, which he is most of the time in the series. Not every scene for me, but this is like he nails this moment in this scene.
I feel like as a character, he doesn't do enough menacing. He doesn't like kill enough people or do like, weird, crazy. There's that one movie where there's a woman like floating above the table. That's kind of like the most nefarious thing we see him do.
He straight up executes Cedric Diggory.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big moment. And like, regardless of how connected you are to Cedric Diggory, like having a kids franchise, all of a sudden the villain shows up full bodied for the first time and immediately executes a child.
Kills
like
the best looking guy in the movie.
And at that point he's a bro. Like him and Harry have been becoming friends. Like that's a hardcore moment for like a 13-year-old to read.
That was like 4 or 5 movies ago.
That's fair. I know. I love it. Voldemort doesn't know how to hug. He just never learned. Like
my favorite is the hand gesture after Neville asks to like give a speech, and he's like he does like a hand gesture and like allows him to speak.
Yeah, his like backhanded shittiness to Neville is also excellent. Like where he's like, "Well, I was hoping for better," but so good.
I love that. Yeah, he's such a shithead. Like he's
in Victory, he is not magnanimous at all. He's like trying to convey magnanimity, but he is just like basically just showing his ass and being like, "Yeah, I'm a dick."
Yeah, it's so funny. Like he's such a small person. Like and he's got this scary snake face, and he's this horribly frightening character that everybody's terrified of. But then when you meet him, he's just kind of like a nerd on a power trip.
Yeah,
like, I love that.
He's definitely a guy who studied too hard. And tried a little too hard.
I feel like they should have shown more.
Right
like the. Oh yeah.
That's great.
What is he doing with his hands? He's like, I want to crush you. I feel like the Malfoy family is sort of our window into how like his Voldemort's followers like really feel about him. Is that they're kind of like peer pressured into like they don't really.
They're afraid
want
to not go with it.
Well,
exactly.
But then on the other side, you have the Bellatrixes who are just like psychos that like to kill people.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, I mean, most of them bail as soon as it turns. Like they don't even have to. Harry doesn't even have to get the upper hand.
No, the second they realize he's alive, they all start.
They're like, "Holy shit, he still can't kill this kid. I'm out of here.
Like,
this guy is not as badass as we
this
thought."
Poor Weasley brother who like hasn't had a line throughout the entire series.
There are some Death Eaters that hang with him, but it's really like I would say like what 75-80% of them just bolt as soon as Harry Potter's alive. They're like, "Oh fuck, dude, Harry Potter's unkillable. Let's get out of here."
They're like, "Dude, the kids are gonna win. Let's get
fucking get out of here." See the writing on the wall.
I also love how we talk about how like Harry Potter often doesn't really like actually accomplish anything with his own agency. He gets lucky a lot. The fact that like the big speech is given by Neville and like he's the one confronting, and then Harry Potter is like
they turn Neville into a real superhero in this movie.
Yeah.
They do a good job, which is good because he's been kicking around since the beginning. He's gotten shat on quite a bit. We've seen him be like a coward and a wimp and all these other things.
I meant to ask you how you felt about like the fit of his pants in this particular.
Are they still fat suiting him up so he won't be too handsome?
I don't know.
No,
but you made such a big deal about.
He's
how
a
big
tall
his
drink of
ass
water in this movie. Like Neville really glowed up,
Yeah, he did.
That he was a strange looking little boy, but by the last movie he's pretty hot. And they're at this point they're trying to like make him look less hot with a dorky sweater. But
yeah, I think they've been the last couple of movies have been outfitting him in things to try to make him.
He lost his dump truck butt.
Yeah, that's what I'm dump truck butt. That was what it was.
Yeah,
he did have a dump truck butt.
He had a long bottom.
Yeah. He's part of the thickness family.
Yeah.
The thickness.
Oh boy.
That's his cousin. Yeah, the long bottoms and the thicknesses.
Yeah.
We're getting to the final battle between HP and Voldemort, which wait, that hasn't happened yet, right? Oh yeah, no, it's about to happen.
I love this whole sequence now where they try to kill the snake because that's the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and Harry's got to take out Voldemort himself.
They do a pretty good job of cross-cutting between the action of the random fights going on, Harry fighting with Voldemort, and Ron and Hermione Hermione and Ron are supposed to be trying to kill a snake, although where the fuck they are, who knows?
Yeah, they're going to let Harry do everything. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
This poor kid. This is another thing. Like, I think the first time I watched this movie, I was so sad that I didn't get a bigger battle that I wasn't really paying attention to how great this finale is. Like, one thing that I really love in this last fight between him and Voldemort is that they have a relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this fucking guy, they've been in each other's heads, and he's been making Harry's childhood hell for the last couple years, you know? And I love the part where Harry's like, let's fucking do this, Tom. He just calls him Tom.
Yeah.
So good.
When they jump off the thing together. Yeah. And then we got like a weird, very strange but interesting. It worked for me where they're like flying through the air. They're apparating as one.
Yeah,
And their faces blend together when we get the Harry Potter snake face.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was like really satisfying. I thought that was a really good way to handle the thing. And I also love that he just calls him Tom at the end. It's such a great, like out of nowhere, like depowering this guy who's like this. They dare not speak his name for so long.
Yeah.
And Harry's like the first guy who's willing to call him Voldemort. Now he's just like, you know what? You're not even Voldemort anymore. You're just Tom.
I thought it was funny that like there was that whole thing where Harry's like, well, we shouldn't be scared of him. Let's just not be afraid to say Voldemort. And then later it's like, no, actually he has a spell on his name. So if you say it, he knows where you are. That's why we don't say it. And Harry's like, oh shit. Okay. I'll stop doing it.
Well, he's already in his head. So what the,
No, that's
Harry
true,
can say it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so this stuff's pretty cool, but I don't know. Yeah, it does happen kind of fast. I don't know. Not so much this snake stuff. I like this bit, but it's pretty much like the Bellatrix scene. I just hate it so much.
Yeah.
Bellatrix, as we've discussed in
This is it right here.
Yeah,
in
Bellatrix
earlier
goes out
episodes,
like a chump.
She's almost like the worst villain than Voldemort.
Yeah, exactly. She's the one I hated the most.
And now they're standing on these like bleachers or something. Like, what is this?
You know, if I feel like maybe in the book it was more of a thing where Bellatrix was owning everyone and she was dominant, and then Molly kind of sucker punched her, which, you know, and that was how she got to the. I could be totally wrong about that, but I feel like that's what it was.
That just seemed too easy.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't explain the like. To me, this when they do like a great visual effect like that. To me, that's one of the spells where it's like she should be saying the name of the spell.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes they say it and sometimes they don't. Like to me, when like it's like a fancier spell and it's like working in a big moment, like I sort of want the character to be saying the little.
It would have been
fake
cool,
Latin
like
part.
from a writing standpoint, if
Yeah.
it was like some spell that we saw her do, like in an earlier movie.
Of course,
or something,
yeah.
you know?
Of course, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, a little plant and payoff there.
Come
where
on, Tom.
We had a lot of people planting animosity with Bellatrix, and none of them are the ones that ended up fighting her. Hey, I got another question. So, basilisk fangs, very important point of a lot of this stuff because they are so poisonous that stabbing a Horcrux with it will kill it. And yet, they're really cavalier about how they carry and hold and run with these basilisk fangs. At one point, Hermione throws Harry a basilisk fang so he can stab the diadem. And I was like, whoa, do not throw basilisk fangs at somebody. And if somebody throws a basilisk fang to you, do not try to catch it.
I didn't catch it. It stabbed me in the hand. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Also-
Ooh, damn.
Also, like Ron and Hermione only grabbed like one or two fangs. Like they really should have cleared out the whole skull.
All of them.
Yeah, and
put
just
them in
doled
the
them
backpack.
out to all of Dumbledore's army.
Even in that scene, when Ron goes to grab the fang out of the skeleton, like he obviously has to pick the one that's like, you know, like the set designer told him is the one that will come out or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not the biggest one, and I want him to immediately reach for the biggest one because that's what I would do if I was
Yeah,
collecting.
something you can use as like a
basilisk
sword,
fangs.
yeah. And you should also have like some kind of leather satchel to put them in because you do not want a basilisk fang just in your pocket. If you sit down wrong, you stab yourself in the thigh.
Sat on one.
Yeah, that would be a great in memoriam for the wizard who died during the Battle of Hogwarts because he sat on the basilisk fang in his pocket. It was not the most heroic death, but he was there. Damn it!
Luckily, he was using the resurrection stone as a butt plug, so it stabbed that.
As one does.
As one does.
I mean, that's the second. The Neville beheading the snake is the second like legit action hero shot that they have. It's like
I
slow
love
mo
that
because when
part.
he jumps in the bridge explosion,
Yeah.
it's just like he gets more slow motion attacks than anybody else in this movie.
There's a
I
cool
love that
thing-
Neville's like the hero. Like
There's a cool CGI effect that they do in this. So every time they destroy a Horcrux, you see Voldemort like first he's in water, like his image is in water, like getting hurt, and then it's in fire, and then just for that last one, it was like in whatever that black stuff is, like smoke, I guess.
Yeah, and they do a great job of he and Harry both realize that the Horcrux is gone.
Yeah.
Like there, he's dead already. I like blinked and missed it again. I was
Yeah, and they don't really make it clear. Like, I think that this is supposed to be he was casting a death spell at Harry, and Harry bounced it back to him or whatever. Because
yeah.
I didn't really understand why he died here, but I just knew that it was something related to the wand.
Yeah. It was
I
something
think he was
related to the.
It looks to me, from what I'm seeing, it looks like Thanos snapped.
Yes, definitely. Thanos snapped away Voldemort. But good effect though. Should we? Now we got the little bit where it's happy days and they walk on the bridge, and then we have the flash forward. Have we talked enough about the flash forward? Do we have anything else?
You said you had a whole story about why they reshot it.
Yeah. So they that I was reading up on this because I really wanted to like look up, because I had read that the in the flash forward where it's 19 years later. So these people, when I was thinking 19 years later, the first thing I thought when I saw them was they don't look like 19 years older. But then I was like, wait a minute, they would be several years younger than I am now. And I was like, oh yeah, they look normal. Yeah, like they're in their late 30s. I could buy that. That's actually pretty good makeup. But
yeah, because how old is he here? He's probably like 22 or something.
He's probably 22, but he's playing 17 or 18.
Right.
So 19 years later is like late 30s. So I was thinking it was good makeup, and they really nailed it. And then I read that apparently they shot that entire sequence and they were editing it together, and then somebody leaked some paparazzi images of them at the station, and everyone freaked out because they were like, they look like they're a million years old. Why do they look so old? and then so I looked up these images, and they don't look that much different, but they do look way too old. And what it was I think they gave them all little cheek jowls, like the edges of the mouth. They got little like pouches on the edges, which is a standard thing to do when you have aging characters, but not somebody in their mid 30s.
Yeah. Wait, was that in the theatrical release?
No.
I feel like I remember seeing them looking super old, and Hermione having like a mom butt.
Yes. And I remember Ron having like a gut.
Yeah. I feel like I saw that.
No, this is something they reshot. I mean, Ron definitely has a gut in this, and I don't know that I saw Hermione's mom butt, but that that definitely would make sense.
Well, also like Rupert Grint has a little gut already anyway, just in that scene where he took his shirt off.
Yeah, he was definitely the stockier of. I think he's got a more of a normal body than skinny Daniel Radcliffe, but still, they definitely have like stuff done to their face, but not like. They have like every character, it looks like they have jowls in the version that they reshot. And they basically they said that it wasn't because of the fan outcry. They were like, we just looked at it. We didn't think it played very well on camera. So that at some expense, they went and reshot the entire scene with all those actors again, and with just more subtle makeup. And they basically stuck to the standards of like when you get a character aging, between like 20 and 40, it's always just, you pull the hairline back a little bit, even for the women, and just give a little some little eye wrinkles and bags, and then just a little bit of like, it's more of the stuff between your nose and your mouth than the stuff below the sides of your mouth. But like they were jowly, and they also had like under the chin fat.
A wattle.
Yeah, which is really something I think you get in your 40s and not so much in,
I got mine when I was in like 8th grade.
Well, I mean, some are more advanced than others. So,
I've actually been able to reduce it later.
You're getting better
with
with
it.
age,
I'm getting better. Yeah, I'm in the best shape of my life right now, actually.
Yeah, that's definitely something that everyone went one of two ways during the pandemic. I went the other way.
I fortunately was able to cement fitness as a coping strategy.
That's good. I cemented drinking as a coping strategy.
I did that one too,
which really was sort of an ongoing thing with me.
I did both. I tried a lot of different coping strategies, and
I tried using cement, and I got stuck.
Is that the fucked up one?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Look
yeah.
at Ron's face. You can really see it there.
Yeah, Ron looks like a disaster. Ron looks like he's living a hard life, which you think he's a poor Weasley.
Well,
so
but he married up. I mean, he married Hermione.
You think you'd be doing okay, but yep. Yeah, he's been drinking hard.
Also, Ron's an animal. Like, I mean, that guy, I think that he probably just put a lot of mileage on himself. Like, he probably lived hard. Like,
and Draco's another one that is not in that shot, but there was a picture of Draco in his older version, and he looked rough.
See, I remember them looking comedically old in the flash forward in theaters. I feel like
I remember the audience laughing.
I feel like they reshot it for the home release or something.
I don't know. What I read was they just that leaked and then they reshot it before they released it.
Huh. Well, yeah, I guess that's probably what happened.
But I mean, Draco does have a serious receding hairline. They pulled his hair back far.
Well, again, like Tom Felton, just as a 22-year-old boy, had a
5 head already.
Yeah, he had like an awesome widow's peak. It's so great for that character, you know. Like Draco Malfoy has the same hairstyle as like Count Chocula, except for blonde.
Yeah.
This little girl looks like a cross between Harry and Ginny. I like the casting there.
Yeah, the casting of the kids is solid.
Do kids have cats for pets? What are these things?
Owls?
Well, they all have different animals. You know, they get like little Albus there has a ferret.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, they're gonna feed the ferrets to one of those buckwheat things.
I love how the people nearby like never notice kids disappearing into a wall.
There's a spell that prevents Muggles from noticing that kind of shit.
Oh, that.
Quiet, you.
See, they don't look that ridiculous. People couldn't have been laughing at this.
No, I really feel like I saw the crazy version. Because this is pretty great. You know, also, I will say, like, for such a young actor, Daniel Radcliffe really brings the dad energy when he's talking to his son. You know, it really felt like an older guy.
Who did Malfoy marry? Is that someone we've seen before or no?
Probably just some other Slytherin. I don't know.
Yeah, some Slytherin rando hooked up at...
I mean, he probably did marry a named character that was in the books.
There is that female Slytherin who I remember from the books.
Like every other character in this married another character in the story. Like nobody just had like a new relationship with somebody they didn't go to school with.
Yeah, Ron looks fat.
He's let himself go a little bit.
Not super fat, but not.
Once he knocked Hermione up, it was all he's in.
Yeah, he's like, she can't get rid of me now.
Yeah, I can do what I want.
Got my anchor baby.
I'm going to say this, you guys. I think that Harry and Ginny really found their chemistry together in this scene.
I was going to say, like, in middle age, I can kind of see this.
Yeah, I totally buy them as a middle-aged couple with a couple kids.
Yeah.
Much more than
on
I did
camera together at all.
They had a very soulful and love-filled look toward each other just then.
I buy it as like they're settling. Like 20 years later, they've dated other people. Now they reconnect, and they're like, all right, fine.
Maybe they got like an open thing going.
Yeah, it's almost like Harry's sex drive, and it just had to die for him to be like, yeah, okay, this is good. This is working for me now.
Well, I mean, look, we don't know.
Ginny doesn't look.
Oh no, I know. I saw these two people communicating. They have not had sex in months. This is middle-aged couple with 3 children that just have not had sex in forever. Look, and it's like, hey, you know what? We're comfortable, and that's okay.
I like to think that they have a very active sex life.
They own a swing.
I'd like to think that, but I'm not able to from the
exactly from what this movie is giving me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I have my own headcanon about it.
And the last time they had sex, neither one of them actually got off their side. That was just like all spoon sex. It's all spoon sex for them forever.
Hermione just looks exactly the same. They did nothing to change Hermione.
What was this thing about Hermione having a mom butt? I don't see. She's got a big coat on.
She looks the same. Yeah, they just put a coat on.
I'm saying I must have seen a different version of this.
They had her miss a little bit of sleep. That was the big thing there. Like
I will say that that's almost what Emma Watson looks like now. Really.
Yeah, kind of nailed it.
I mean, she she looks slightly older here than she does present day.
And that's it, guys. Harry Potter. We did it. 8 horrible movies.
Should we start
wrapping this up?
Wrapping this up, yeah.
Let's do it. Final thoughts.
Colin, you want to go first? You never go first.
Sure, I'll go first. I liked how I said what I liked. My favorite part of the movie is when Voldemort thinks he's won, and then Harry flops on the ground.
Yeah,
it's just good. I love all the long bottom moments. Except that he destroys the bridge, which is a crime against architecture. But they could rebuild it. They're magical. Who knows? I have to say, I think I enjoyed part 1 better. I feel like part 1 is so different from the other ones, and it has so many great location, choices. That I just really enjoyed that. I do think part 1 is like kind of a worse movie, but I think I like that also.
This is why Colin's scores shouldn't count.
Yeah, cool ending. I guess I find it interesting that there was some sort of disagreement here about whether or not the battle played out the way it should have for the maximum amount of on-screen entertainment we could have seen. I think I think those questions will always remain unanswered because I don't think they're going to remake this movie now. I don't think that's an option for Warner Brothers.
Well, that's very insightful. Nice work. So you come down on the side of was the battle good or bad with we'll never know.
We will never.
Just do you have a score for this?
Yeah, I just
I don't want to cut off the brilliance. Keep it going if you've got more.
I think this is a 7.5. Maybe. I'm pretty sure I gave all of these movies a 7.5 now. I don't know how to score them. I feel like it's all one long thing. Like we should go back, watch them start to finish.
Do like an 8-film marathon?
Yeah.
I'm not spending 14 hours watching.
I'm never watching these movies.
Yeah,
again.
no, I'm done. This was my last time ever watching a Harry Potter movie. So have fun on your new podcast where you marathon watch them and talk to yourself. So is that 7.5 Timothy Dolphins is where you landed?
7.5 Timothy Dolphins. That sounds nice.
Okay.
Did I give them all 7.5? Are you looking at the scores?
Let's see. You gave 3, 4, and 5 a 7.5, and now this. You gave the last movie an 8, and you gave Half-Blood Prince a 6.5. Chamber of Secrets a 6.5, and Harry Potter 1 you gave a 5.
Yeah, fuck 1.
You guys were harsh on that movie.
I don't know what I gave 1, but I probably am going to lower my score when we change them.
Wow.
I didn't give anything a 9, did I?
You gave nothing a 9.
I'm glad. That's because nothing rose to that level. However, I did enjoy a lot of them. I think 8 is a pretty good score, and I think I gave a lot of them an 8, at least a couple. And I'm going to give this one an 8. This is a really good. I think there's a certain it's tough to wrap up a franchise in a compelling way when you're doing this final film to pay off a lot of the stuff that you've been setting off or setting up. And this does it. I was satisfied with, just about every aspect of how this shook out. I thought there was some fun revelations that they saved for the end, and just really enjoyed the whole experience. And if this had bombed, it would change my opinion of the whole franchise for the worse. And I have to say that I didn't think the last one was that good, and I wasn't nuts about Half-Blood Prince. And this one kind of redeemed it and got us back on track. So I'm going to give this one. Hey, we're trying to record a podcast here, Colin. You mind? Jesus.
Final score?
I already said my opinion.
Final score. 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Wow. All right, Paul, you want to summarize your final thoughts here?
Yeah, just on this movie, I think that the seventh Harry Potter book is, in my opinion, one of the best conclusions of anything ever. In a series, and this applies to the movies too, in a series that juggled so many characters and mysteries and plot lines and locations, she found a way to bring back and sort of give everything a moment in a really sort of authentic way. And that's reflected in the movie too. I think this movie's good, but I think that your last guest, I think Chris was his name in the last episode, really summarized my feelings perfectly when he said this is a franchise that's bigger than the sum of its parts, and this particular film is too, because it's ending this massive experiment in long-term, really complicated franchise filmmaking with this gargantuan cast and all these sort of moving parts and rotating characters and themes. And, so I have my complaints about the battle or moments that were rushed or whatever, but that's true in every Harry Potter movie. There's always complaints that people have about what was left out from the books. But I think at the end of the day, this franchise is better than the film adaptations of this franchise are better than any of us would have expected them to be. And they got more right than any of us would have expected them to. And that applies to this movie too. And I am going to give this particular film 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. This is sort of like the groundwork for what they did with Avengers and how expansive the Marvel, roping in all those different films, which obviously is less structured and contained than this because it was based on direct books. But like that idea of taking, a combined story and telling it over like so many years, but especially with this, with child actors and everything like that, it's kind of an accomplishment just to, and judging by our scores, this is probably going to rank pretty high on our franchise rankings when we tally them all up, like overall of all the franchises we've covered, because there really aren't any huge turds. And there's a lot of really solid work. Like it's just consistently been very high quality.
Yeah, and another thing, just to compare it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which came a few years after this, they have the benefit of like each movie is like about a different set of characters. So and it's like they can. It's all different actors all the time.
And there's no legit book that they have to like. Oh, you didn't do this. You did.
I mean, there's comic books, but like not really. Yeah. But this series is really commendable in that, like, and we've talked about this before, that they selected these actors, these kid actors, and had faith in them enough that they would last for 8 movies and, like, wouldn't be terrible actors or wouldn't, like, nothing would happen to them. Like, they got really lucky that...
Die of a drug overdose.
Yeah, anything. The only, like, recasting that they did was Dumbledore. And that one they had to see coming.
And Goyle.
and Crab.
Yeah. Or whichever.
Yeah, that's why I thought we should have watched Boyhood as our bonus movie, but that got vetoed
because nobody ever wants to watch Boyhood.
I like that movie.
So, do you guys do a bonus movie with each franchise?
Yeah, we do multiple bonus, depending on how long the franchise is.
Yeah.
This
one we got 4 movies out of it.
Yeah,
I have a pitch for a bonus movie for this franchise that you guys are 100% going to shoot down. No, it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, with the Brad Neely narration track playing instead of the movie's audio.
What is that on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find his narration track, and essentially he narrates it as though it were an audiobook in a way that simultaneously like is an homage and also a satire of the movie.
Oh yeah,
and
I think I've seen part of this.
It's fucking hysterical. Yeah, it's actually become.
Who does it?
His name is Brad Neely, and he's this bizarro internet comedian. Like he did the Washington video that was viral about 10 years ago. Like Washington, Washington. It was a goofy song about George Washington. Anyway, it's pretty deep nerd shit. But I think that it's essential viewing for understanding Harry Potter.
All right. I'm just going to quickly give my summary here. You guys have pretty much said it all. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think this movie, for what it's worth, kudos to it for being like the shortest movie. I was able to, go along for the ride the whole time. I was never bored. Like some of the other movies, kind of drag in parts. This one does not. They tie up all the loose ends in a satisfying way.
This one does have dragon parts.
One negative point for that.
That was solid.
No, I think this movie is really good, and it's one of the better ones because shit actually finally happens, and it's conclusive, and it looks good. And one thing I wanted to mention earlier is like this movie more than the rest, I really noticed the wardrobe. Like it was clear to me in this one that they were like, we need to put new clothes on them. Like they have to look different in every movie. Like the clothes in this just really like popped for me. He's got like that cool like denim jacket on. That's like
a lot of layers.
Beige.
Yeah.
I like his chunky cable knit in part 1.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that too.
That's great.
Yeah, I think this movie is a lot of fun. It's one of the better ones. I give it an 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Exciting stuff.
So that would have been 8s all around, except Colin gave it a fucking 7.5. You piece of
Colin
shit.
is stupid. Colin likes cutting dolphins in half. He's a monster.
Yep.
So
I'm a monster.
are you guys announcing your next franchise, or have you already?
Well, it's a Colin's choice.
Yeah.
And he was, between a couple of franchises.
We're between Pirates, Predator, and the vacation movies
right.
with Chevy Chase.
And we went with
We went on down the holiday road.
Oh, okay. How many are there?
5.
And are you going to include the reboot? That they did?
Yes.
Because the reboot includes Clark Griswold as a character. So, like,
Actually,
So it's part of the
it's
same
actually not a
universe.
reboot.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
sequel.
legacy sequel.
It's a legacy sequel.
Reboot, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just wanted to say one thing to you guys because in your third episode, you had your guest, Chandler was her name, a woman of keen insight from what I could tell from listening to the episode. But she made a great recommendation that I don't think was duly considered, which is that you guys should really do Twilight. You really fucking should. I don't think you understand how hilarious that would be. Breaking Dawn Part 1 was the funniest movie that came out that year. That movie is outrageous. So I really think you guys should consider doing Twilight one of these days.
I think we will at some point. I think that might be the last franchise we ever do.
That will put the death knell because I will leave, and then these two will be like, I don't know what we're gonna do now.
Yeah, you'll end the podcast after that.
Because the origin of this podcast is like, really, this is an excuse for us to watch movies that we like and bro out and talk about them. And so, like, when it starts to veer into territory of like, we're choosing franchises because they suck, or like because like,
I mean, our bonus movies are sometimes kind of comically bad, but even those are kind of fun.
They're bad movies that we want to watch. And like, we've had we noticed that when a lot of times, unlike this franchise, like, most franchises have like a couple of good ones and a couple of real stinkers. And like when we do the really bad the bad movies, they're a little more fun because you're making fun of them. You're laughing at them, not with them,
Well, this will be interesting doing the Vacation franchise because we've done some bonus movie comedies, but we haven't done a franchise of comedies. And frankly, the bonus movie comedies have been a little tough because it's hard to make jokes about a movie. It's like a lot of times we're just repeating the jokes, the lines from the movie, which is terrible. And then, so we're going to have to find ways to make this a little more engaged.
Yeah, we should really come at it and like observe it and critique it as like a comedy franchise as opposed to like glorifying it.
Yeah, and we'll do a little more homework and stuff like we always do for our main things. But
I was planning on asking deep personal questions about your personal lives.
Okay. Well, you know me. I'm an open book. Not true. So we are done with this movie. We got to do a wrap-up episode, so let's wrap this up. And
Paul Jones, thank you.
Yeah,
very
thanks
much.
for having me on the show, guys. This was such a blast. I really had a great time watching the movie and talking about it with you guys.
Great. Yeah, and thank you for doing this. Do you have any thing you're working on that you want to plug, websites or anything like that? And where can people follow you on social media if you're on that?
Yeah, I am on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at Paul_Rufus_Jones. Rufus is spelled RUFUS. Get ready for a bunch of fun content depicting my trip in Alaska, where I'm going to be serving as a driver for a German film crew doing some kind of a special about climate change in Alaska. So I'm going to, I don't know, hopefully post some stuff. But what I'd like to plug is if you're a fan of Bruce Campbell, which, by the way, did you guys ever do like Evil Dead?
And we've talked about it.
Harris wants to do it really
it's
bad.
coming up. I've been threatening to do it. This almost what I picked instead of this, so I think it might be.
If you do Evil Dead and you need a dude, I have a lot, of experience in that world.
Can you get us Bruce Campbell?
I probably not. But could I? No, probably not.
Can you get us Bruce Campbell's stand-in?
I might be able to. I don't know. I'm trying to think who I could get. I might. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to talk to people.
We'll talk.
But anyway, no. But also, I'm curious. If you do something like Evil Dead, do you also watch the show?
I think we
could.
We haven't done stuff like that in the past.
We did Exorcist, and we considered. I think I watched like the first episode of the short-lived show, and it seemed kind of cool. But like ultimately, it just came down to.
I liked the Evil Dead show a lot.
constraint.
I don't think it's just a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of content, but with that one, I mean, it's a direct sequel to the movie.
Yeah.
So but anyway, whatever. So but what I would like to plug is if you're a fan of Bruce Campbell, I work for.
And sorry, there's a new Evil Dead movie coming out later this year.
Evil Dead Rise. That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's debatable whether that one and then the remake from a couple years ago are part of the same universe. So I don't know if they'd count as part of the same.
I remember
franchise or
seeing
not.
the remake, and then like I don't think when I saw it there was a bonus scene at the end of the credits, but I think they added one later on, or it's like a deleted scene or something where the girl who survives that movie is like walking down the street and Bruce Campbell like drives up next to her or something. Yeah,
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, there's something like that. I don't know if it ever made it to the actual movie.
When I saw it in theaters, it just at the very end after the credits, it just shows Bruce Campbell in like a lightless space, just his face, and he goes groovy. Like that was but
was that yellow car in Multiverse of Madness? I never.
Yeah, it's in every Sam Raimi movie, even if he has to
Where was the car in the?
Where was it?
The Multiverse.
I don't remember. I know for sure it was in there. I mean, like when he did Quick and the Dead, he took the chassis of that car and put a horse-drawn carriage on it so it could be in the movie. And he had the car dismantled and painted, and he had the parts of it on the walls of like the Tinker's Workshop in the Oz movie he did. So like it's 100% in there because it is in every movie in some form.
That's so cool.
I don't remember where exactly. I remember spotting it, I think, when I was watching the movie. But anyway, my plug, I'll try to... Yeah, so I work for if you are a fan of Bruce Campbell, go to brucefest.co and learn about the ultimate experience in grueling horror with the king of chins himself, Bruce Campbell, in attendance. We had to delay our next Bruce Fest, but it is going to be coming up and dates are going to be announced, so keep your eyes peeled. You can follow Bruce Fest Official on Instagram. And it's cool because it's not just like a film festival. It is that. But we also bring in a lot of other horror experts. We have panel discussions. Bruce Campbell himself is there to interact with fans, do signings. He does watch withs where he like narrates his movies. And we also add an immersive component to the show. So there's like an immersive narrative going where participants are invited to step into the world of Evil Dead and be part of the story. So I write for that, and I also play Bradley Smart, the president and CEO of S-Mart, who sponsors Bruce Fest. So I'm on site in character, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check us out, brucefest.co, and come see us.
That sounds awesome.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks again, and that's the end of our show. Guys, how should we... is there any final thoughts about Harry Potter that we didn't say throughout 8 movies?
Oh my God, there can't possibly. We've talked about so much Harry Potter.
Why is there no lens crafters in the wizarding world? Can he not just get a new pair of frames?
He is the only character with glasses, right? Does McGonagall?
His dad had them.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
That's like why does it have to be the
He inherited glasses from his dad.
He's got his mother's eyes and his father's glasses.
His mother's eyes and his father's vision.
I mean, like I've been talking a lot, but I kind of do have a final thought because there's something I want to say about Harry Potter, the character, that doesn't get said much. People talk about what his qualifications are as a hero. And one thing that I think gets lost is that Harry Potter's true strength is his ability to love. This is a boy whose parents were torn away from him when he was an infant. He was raised by his horribly abusive half swine relatives and subjected to nothing but neglect and abuse. And even with all of that, somehow he still became such a decent child. And it was his ability to love that kept him strong, that led him to form the friendships that would ultimately enable him to take down Voldemort. And I think we should all appreciate that.
To be fair, he was famous.
Well, yeah, but that worked against him as much as it worked for him.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was funny.
No, you're right.
Well, we've said it all. I need a song or something to play us out.
You gotta start planning
like
stuff
this.
in
Man.
I feel like this is how we ended every single episode of this.
It's possible.
You guys need like an outro like catchphrase that you can do or something.
Yeah, we do. Something we all say in unison.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do need that. That's good. We need a catchphrase. Yeah, let's just start.
How about on 3, we need a catchphrase. 1, 2, 3.
These guys need a catchphrase.
Thanks to everyone out there for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you like listening to us talk about your favorite film franchises. Thank you to our guest, Paul Jones, and as always, thank you to Chris Morocco for banging out the You're a Wizard, Harry remix for this series. Special thank you to our interns, Hope and Henry, for helping out with research and many other things for this Harry Potter series. Subscribe to our Patreon for just $1 a month over at www.patreon.com/L2W. That's www.patreon.com/L2W.
Help support the podcast by joining, and you get instant access to over 50 bonus shows that feature us covering non-franchise classics and so much more every single month. And again, that website to join is www.patreon.com/L2W. License to Watch is a part of the Fandom Limb Podcast Network, so please be sure to check out some of their other awesome shows, and be sure to tune into our Harry Potter series wrap-up.
You're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard, Harry. Wizard, Harry. You're a wizard. Wizard, Harry. You're a wizard, Harry. You're a Harry. You're a wizard, Harry. Wizard, wizard, wizard. Wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard.